Go. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 105, the season finale of Purple Hyacinth. Drum roll. And today we're here with Bundin, Fwoot, and Emma.
Hello.
I was not ready.
Yeah, same.
None of us were.
I didn't even realize it was the season finale until I scrolled up to the bottom because I read on my phone and the title wasn't moving across. So when I scroll down and at the very bottom it's see you in season 3. I just stopped processing, and it's just that meme of the cat, right, with the loading screen. That was me.
Oh no. I just kind of, because I don't fast pass usually, but everybody here knows I always said when the finale comes out, I will fast pass to get to it. And I finished 101 and I was just in shock because of everything that happened there. And then I always click to look at the fast passes to kind of be like, oh, what's happening with the thumbnails. And then I kind of saw a bit of the title for this most recent episode, and I was like, no. And then I clicked it, it was season finale. I was like, oh, they just dropped this on us with no warning. No warning.
I think that Sophie had said she was planning on doing mid-season finale. I think that things got so caught up, because as someone who watches the streams often, she was falling far behind, especially because how complex these panels are. So I think that season finale was not something that they were planning on doing, but it happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I actually very much like the fact that it's the finale, because I felt that things were getting very, very exciting, and I thought the amount of drama that we had was perfect for a season finale.
I agree. I feel it was it's kind of a cruel place to end in some ways, but also plot armor in your brain and just being no, nobody's gonna die. Everything's gonna be fine in the end. So
I'm 100% on that. On board with that. I don't think anyone is gonna die.
Yeah, I was really hoping that Soap would take a hiatus, because when we were a couple months ago, when we thought there was going to be a mid-season coming up, we knew that there was going to be a hiatus, but apparently it was only going to be for 3 weeks, and we were like, Soap should definitely be resting for way more than that. And because she ran out of buffer episodes, because again, as Emma said, these episodes are really intricate. Yeah, it's good that she's now able to take time off and build buffer. So yes, Soap break is very good. And yeah, I'm not sure, right now still, I'm not sure how I feel about this being the season 2 finale. And Bundin kind of knows this. I would have much preferred it as as the mid-season, right? Because I just think that as a season that I think there's some unfinished business that season 2 was supposed to cover that there's going to cover in season 3. For me, I would have preferred it all in one season, but that's just my personal preference. And that's something that you would want to say for a season review, which I'm not prepared for.
I mean, I think that the way they had stuff planned out for information wise per season, if that makes sense, I think they had planned to release certain information during season 2 that they didn't end up doing, which means that'll probably be pushed to season 3, and season 3 stuff maybe pushed to season 4 possibly.
Is there gonna be a season 4 though? I always heard that it was gonna be about 3 seasons,
probably.
But who knows?
With where this is going, because it was said that season 2 is supposed to be longer than season 1, because this is supposed to be mid-season finale, which means it'd be probably double what we have for season 2 already, plus season 3. And if they had to cut season 2 in half, it makes sense that there'd be 4th season.
Yeah, or a longer season 3. F said last year that there would always be a season 3, and I remember this one message of hers. I can't find it though, but she was saying how it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 seasons. So, but 3 was at that time. 3 was the most likely, probably because longer season 2. So I would place my money on a season 4.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily worried about I mean, obviously we kind of see seasons as their own individual packages, right? Books in a novel and a series, right? So obviously it should have structure and kind of have its own internal conclusions, right? But I feel with Webtoon, it's kind of you can hop in at any time and then you won't even notice the the breakup between seasons, if that makes sense. Because I've read a lot of webtoons that are like several hundred episodes in already, and I don't pay attention to like seasons and stuff. So I know that in the end, it won't be as disjointed feeling, probably. But at the same time, I do understand, like, now obviously it's like we have 1 and we have 2, and there's like categorization and stuff. But like, I know that it won't really hinder the actual like full story in any way. It's just like, we want more.
I don't care how it's split up, honestly.
I mean
like, I just want the story to be good. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
to me how it's split up.
Yeah.
Well, all right,
Usually-
ready to what?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say that like usually when I'm reading other webtoons that like, you know, when they already have a bunch of episodes, as Bundin was saying, the only time I'll realize that a season has passed is if there's like a Q&A or a recap. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. See,
Was there
Yeah,
a
you
hiatus here?
it's like you read these and you're like, oh, these poor people had to wait between this.
Yeah.
And then you just click to the next one immediately. Like, I don't have to do that.
Mhm. Yep, just like you did.
Yeah.
All right, so shall we get started?
Yes.
Okay, so we open up with the suspenseful time, 9 minutes, 44 seconds, and 43 milliseconds left to the time bomb. They are trapped in the basement. Lorien has this look of utter panic on her face, wide eyes. And we see, you know, she's huffing and she looks down on the floor, and the blood of the Phantom Scythe member that, okay, a little bit of a trigger warning for this. The blood of the Scythe member that just shot himself is spreading on the floor. And, you know, it's a very visceral way of showing, like, they're not focusing on his face again, like we saw last episode. So it's not completely gory, but it's still extremely emotionally impactful to see him, you know, his life's blood just flowing out. It's very vivid. And we also see, like, even though we're actually looking at Lorien, the panels are still blurry around the edges. So I think it's just to give you an idea of how Lorien, you know, has been blacking out, and, you know, her vision has been blurring around the edges already for a while because of her blood loss. And she looks and she sees Kieran slamming himself against the door, right, trying to open it. And she looks again, and she's looking around at all the whole basement. She thinks, this much nitroglycerin, and it's all the crates. And now she pictures her friends, Will and Kym. We see them on the floor, and she basically pictures them dead of an explosion. And it's just awful. You really see right away her mind goes to, you know, you could tell that she has the trauma with the ATST, that this is where she goes to first.
You want to know something that I noticed as well? I don't know if this is an intentional thing, but the only other time we've seen her picture, like, her friends dead, is the season 2 premiere, when Kieran shows up at the office and
Oh
she's
my
picturing them dead on the floor, which kind of just shows her always kind of considering the people around her as the most precious thing to her, and anything that jeopardizes it, she is incredibly afraid of losing the people around her. And so her, like, seeing all of these bombs, she's not even thinking about her dying. She's thinking about her friends outside. And I just, it's such a clear, like, through line of her character to, like, just have this kind of parallel of thinking from the premiere to this finale. I just really enjoyed that visual, like, similarity.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, but Bundin beat me to it. It was the first thing I noticed, like, in these first few sequences, except, like, okay, first I noticed Kieran slamming his door because I have a funny story about that, but then secondly, I noticed you know, the dead bodies of Kym and Will, and I was like, oh shit, this is like premiere stuff. This is like a callback to that. However, you know, this time, of course, it's not Kieran, the one who killed them. It's, you know, the factory. And I think like part of the reason that Lorien does imagine these things is because she partly does blame it on herself. Like, you know, she helped create Loon, which is what ended up Kieran in the office. So if he ended up killing, you know, her coworkers and her friends, she would have been part of the catalyst for that. And then here it's like she's the one who like said that they needed to call in the police, right? So
that's ironic,
like,
because she called the police because she wanted to save lives. And, you know, it might be that she, you know, would have saved a larger amount of lives, but have you know, killed her friends, that wouldn't be emotionally better for her, you know? Like there was, it's not something that
Well,
was something she would like.
kind of hard to tell, right? Because like, you know, had the bomb gone off, right, the police might have been able to evacuate some amount of people, but I don't know how many they could get, because like the 11th precinct is a residential area with, you know, a lot of people living in it. So if they had to evacuate an entire neighborhood in 10 minutes in the middle of the night while people are sleeping, like I don't know how successful they're going to be with that, but like,
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of explosions and stuff coming from the area as well. So if the police say, yeah, you might want to go, I feel like the people know the history of the city with bombs, so they might be like, yeah, I'm gonna head out.
yeah,
So,
that's true. But like, I mean, yeah, I kind of see that because like, you know, she called in the police and then there was a bunch of shooting, right? And a bunch of police people died.
and a bunch of bottles of nitroglycerin getting yeeted.
Yeah, there's just, I
Ugh.
mean, there's no way to tell, right? Had she called in the police, had she not? Like, because then if she hadn't called in the police, you know, the PS might have killed them, or Apostle, technically not the PS, more like Apostle 7's minions. They would have killed them probably. And then that nitroglycerin would have gone on to hurt more people that the police probably wouldn't have been aware of. So, like, you know, it's kind of like a very what if scenario.
I just realized that the Phantom Sites must have, you know, I don't know, jerry-rigged is the right word, but contrived that time bomb really at the last minute, because they weren't planning on blowing that up. So did they just have like a time bomb lying around and activated it? Or they're like, oh, quick, bring one through the tunnels, you know, all hope is lost. Like we've been discovered, let's just blow it up.
I mean, yeah, I saw it as like, you know, a desperate attempt, right? Because, you know, the people there who were in charge of that, they must have seen it, or like they must have seen what was going on as like so perilous, I guess, that like, you know, there was no way of them winning. They couldn't let the police get evidence, right? So they just blow it up. Even though they have other plans, they'll just have to figure that out later, because right now what's happening in the moment is more important than any future plans.
Right. Yeah, this way they get to kill some people, you know, like they don't get to kill people in their location that they wanted to, but at least they get to do something.
And the nitroglycerin doesn't get seized as well, right?
Right.
So they might as well use the bomb. It's not where they wanted it, but hey, it's already there, might as well, which is...
Yeah, send some type of message, right? Take everyone to hell while you can.
I mean, in a way, it's kind
nasty.
of pointing out that, like, even when they are in a super tight situation, they're still able to, even if it's not the place that they were aiming for, in the end, they were still able to do it. Which, you know, is a kind of still powerful message. Like, hey, we can still, you know, even when it's just us against everyone else, and we are in extreme danger, we can still do this.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of these
ahead.
people joined the PS for a reason, whether it be, you know, out of terrorism or out of like the idealism of the PS, like in their minds. So like, you know, these people are serious about what they're doing, and it, yeah, kind of speaks to the issue that of whatever they joined for. Yeah.
So
Should I say
anyways,
the funny story about the door before
the
we
door.
move on? Okay.
Now I'm
So-
curious, what could be funny about the door?
It was about like this conversation I was having. You can like, there's a screenshot of it somewhere. I guess, wait, you should read more.
Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So she's huffing, and again we see the blood again, and it's going in and out of focus. And she gets up. Kieran is slamming against the door, and she goes towards the time bomb, and she's looking at it very desperately. Now it's 9 minutes and 32 seconds, and she's fiddling around with the wires. Her fingers are trembling, and she's obviously trying to figure out what to do with it. Kieran, you know, slams against the door and says, "Damn it, did they happen to teach you to defuse bombs in the police academy?" And this is, by the way, his expression here. It's one of the few times that I recall at least seeing him unnerved. Usually he's so just like sarcastic and blasé. And here he's actually panicking. Do you guys remember him having this kind of expression before?
Like 3 episodes ago. But that's like, you know, this is the same, he's in the same mind state as that. I mean, obviously it's heightened now, but like, him being really unnerved, like, or scared or anything like that, or desperate.
The
No.
Onslow interrogation.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that kind of feels like that's him more being like taken
I mean,
aback, but he's
yeah,
not like.
I mean, he was like afterwards, sort of like this time he's not really angry at her. He's more like just really stressed. But like then he was also pretty stressed too. So that's what it reminded me
Yeah.
of.
You know, the expression, like the
not-
facial
yeah.
expressions in this arc and in this episode are
Mm.
top notch. Like some of the best in the series, I would argue, just from the emotion that they can impart. Like you can see just how desperate he is, being like, did they teach you how to do anything like with this?
Yeah, I mean, at least he isn't taking it out on Lauren anymore.
Well, it's not her
Development.
fault. She's not the one. Yeah, it's not.
I think Lauren is more upset with herself than him, but that's in a bit.
Yeah,
But like,
I mean, yeah.
like he's not even upset at her, but she's upset at herself.
Going back to the blood pooling, even though we don't really see the body, I think it's like probably one of the few times that like someone like just physically like has died in front of her, right?
Mhm.
In front of Lauren. Because if you like go back to season 1, right, and there's that moment on the rooftop where Kieran killed someone to protect her, right? And she's a bit shaken there, and you can see that. But like, you know, that person was about to kill her. This person wasn't about to kill her in that moment, even though they set off that bomb.
It's like
their intention wasn't to kill her right there, and because of her, they ended up taking their own life, right? Because they blocked the exit, so they weren't able to leave in time. So I think like she might end up blaming that on herself, right? It's kind of like I wouldn't, right? Because you know she had no way of knowing, but like you know she might like if we had come just a few seconds later, that person might have been alive right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I think any normal person, you know, even if they know logically it's not their fault and that they're not to blame, it's hugely powerful to see somebody kill themselves in front of you. And for sure, like that, Lauren's for sure going to have that reasoning where it's like, oh, I'm the one who caused it, because she, you know, takes unreasonable blame upon herself already, which we know. So yeah, I imagine even if Soph and F don't focus on it, because there's going to be a lot of other stuff to focus on in the future episodes, it definitely has a traumatizing effect for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she's like, I'm trying to see if it's possible to remove the timer from the bomb, but I wouldn't bet on it. My knowledge is too limited. We can't risk cutting any of these wires. And her hand is dripping blood. You see her like fiddling with her collar and it's just dripping. So her wound is really getting serious, because, you know, showing how much blood is dripping down. And she says, the wrong one could trigger the explosion. We need the bomb squad, but we lost that damn walkie-talkie. And, you know, she's just rubbing her face. And now she's tapping, I think she's tapping the suitcase that the bomb is in or something.
Yeah. That looks like a little, it looks like a screw at the bottom there, like, you know, of the suitcase. So
yeah, she's very agitated. She's like, oh, like that. Yeah. I kind of very much related to that, because I'm a little fidgety. I'm always like shaking something, like shaking my foot or tapping something. So I very much related to that nervous gesture. I do it even when I'm not nervous.
As someone with ADD, the nervous tics are real.
Yeah, I remember all the way back in 6th grade, my teacher noticed I was always swinging my feet under the desk. And she actually called me into the school psychologist for that. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I just like doing it. And I still do. Like, it's just, I don't know, always have to be doing something. I was very confused. Like, why is this require psychological evaluation? Anyway, sorry to bring some levity to this very serious situation. So now she says, what if we pile all the nitro crates in a corner and throw a nitro bottle at the door? The door isn't a structural requirement, so it should be able to hold. And Kieran's like, that's creative, which I happen to love that he affirms her idea and like compliments her. Yes, I did notice that. I'm like, that's a wonderful trait to do. You know, it's like, it's relationship 101, validation, complimenting. Yes, I did find a Loki moment here. And
A
but
low-key
Helena's
Locky moment.
oh sorry, I meant
I know, but
Locky,
it's funny. Funny.
I'm done with Loki ships for, you know, the
Oh,
next year.
I need to watch that show still. But yeah.
Bundin, I hated it. But yeah. Just, let's keep it to Loki. No Lokis here.
I never
No
thought I
Loki.
would say
Oh,
say
that
that
Loki,
in my
okay.
entire life.
got it. Yeah, she's like, that's creative, but hell knows what else in this room could collapse, and the shockwave might blow the rest of the bottles. We don't have the time or space to move everything far enough to avoid that. And
Okay.
yeah, and here you go.
Yeah. Okay, so like this was a couple hours, or I don't know, several hours before the update. And it was like I was actually being active for once, and I was talking to two of my friends called Alo and Lena. I'm pretty sure I brought them up on podcasts before. And at some point Lena said like, oh, what if Kieran just slams himself against the door? And we were like, and then Ella was like, okay, but what if, you know, they threw a nitro bottle at it? And I was like, that wouldn't make any sense, because like, you know, it's so close in proximity that, you know, that they would blow up the rest of it. And we basically had the same conversation that they're having here. And it was like, it was really funny when we read it and we were like, oh hell.
But it just shows again, like, they're thinking through all the possibilities. It's the same through line of logic that you guys had. It's like they had, you know, it's like, what are our options? So it's good writing to figure shit out, right? Like, okay, we could try to blow the door open, we try to kick the door open, like, I don't just, it's good. That's fun. I love when shit like that happens.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah, I was
shows
actually
that,
surprised.
we are so in love with this that we started to think like the characters.
Yeah.
But Emma, the thing is that like for the last year, Ella and I have been doing like matching profile pics, and usually when we do Loki profile pics, she's Kieran and I'm Lauren. But this time it ended up that I was thinking like Kieran and she was thinking like Lauren, and we were like, man, have we been messing this up for the last year? Like,
It's fine. But is there a reason you're still like your profile names are still switched on Discord?
people are still confusing us, so we keep them because it's funny and we like to troll people.
I came on VC very dazed and confused, and it took me probably half an hour to realize that they were switched. But also I was on my phone, I was not looking at who was talking, right? But then sometimes I'd check and I'd be like, oh, Al's talking a lot more lately, huh?
You know,
there's good reason to have them still to have our names switched.
every time that I post on like in vids and edits, I post like the older episodes that we're catching up on, and I tag you. I always, you know, it has your name, but then I always write Fwoot in parentheses because I'm like, people are gonna get confused. So I'm like, okay, this is Fwoot. Yeah. So Lauren just like slams her head into her hand. It's like, you're right. Fuck. And she's highly agitated. And, you know, we got a close up of her mouth, like clenched and trembling. And she's like, we need the time, but bomb squad. And once again, she looks at the timer and it's 8 minutes, 23 seconds. And she frowns. And then she just gets up and she's like, if we can't defuse the bomb, we need to at least try to get it as far as possible from the basement. And again, you know, thinking on her feet. We still have 8 minutes left, and you see her tying up her wound with, well, not tying, like reinforcing a band-aid with her thumb, her teeth. And, you know, this very, very determined look on her face. And obviously this is something that we all love about Lauren. Lauren's action-oriented, Lauren's determined, Lauren is very heroic in these moments, you know. And that's, you know, we love our strong lead.
I love this panel of her. Like, it's very brutal, right? Like you can see the blood, right? And then you can see like, you know, she looks very tired. There's a lot of lines around her face, but you know, it's so dynamic, and you can see like the determination in her. And it's like maybe my new favorite Lauren panel, or a favorite Lauren panel. Like, she looks amazing. Like, you know, just the emotion of it, so good.
You can just you can see so much about her character in this panel, because like even showing us, if you show this to someone who's never read an episode of Purple Hyacinth in their life, I'm sure that they could get so much out of Lauren in this panel, because you can see that she is visibly injured. There is blood going down her arm, but she's still, you know, still thinking and figuring stuff out. and you can see how like tired she is. Like she's probably been awake for, over a day at this point. Like it's probably been over a day since she slept. And you can just see how determined she is still, even though she's, I'm sure, exhausted and in pain. And you can just see how much she's willing to push through for it.
Yeah, one thing I will say is that like the facial expressions, none of the characters look beautiful in the conventional sense, but the emotion, how visceral it is, right? It's like you can see just how exhausted they are, how tired they are. It's like this panel of Lauren just shows like her determination, but also how tired she is, but also she's not gonna go down quietly. She's gonna fight until the end, and it's perfect. All of these facial expressions are so good. I just love it.
I was gonna say, like, if we're looking on the positives here, with this episode, technically, the explosion at the end kind of did give Lauren an excuse to close her eyes. So, like, she's sleeping, not for good reasons, but she's probably gonna be unconscious.
It's like the time when Sandman knocked her out. She finally got to sleep. Was it the healthiest way to get her to sleep? No, but she was asleep.
Now we just need to get her to eat.
Yeah, bare minimum here. Okay, we're working with the bare minimum.
So personal anecdote, like 3 years ago, so I was working, working tons of jobs. I was like, I had a regular job, and then I had an evening job, and I was in school already at the time. So basically, and then I did Uber on weekends. So basically I never, ever slept. I was like always busy and sleep deprived. And then I donated my kidney that I was out of, and then I stopped working for 2 weeks. So I was like, well, it took me to donate my kidney to get me to like stop. And then I was like, I have rest time now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot to have to go through, man.
It was amazing. One of the highlights of my life, together with the birth of my children. Donating the kidney was one of the most amazing feelings and experiences. So yeah, highly recommend it. It's an amazing feeling to save someone's life. Yeah.
Sorry, my roommate just walked in, but she's good.
So anyway, Lauren says, I'll break this door down, even if it breaks me. Oh,
yes, queen.
And she joins Kieran at the door and gives him this, again, super determined face. And this is the face, again, of when people are put to the limit and push their limit, and you have, this is like the most serious, it's one of the most serious faces we've ever seen Lauren make, because they're facing life or death. And, Lauren, right, she said, even if it breaks me, like she's starting to contemplate, maybe not getting out, but she just wants to try to get out, and just to see what people, how they react when they get to these crucial moments. I mean, it's serious, and that's reflected, like you said, in their facial expressions. And she's like, on the count of 3, 1, 2, and then simultaneously they slam against the door, bang, they keep banging. Time is whittling down, 7 minutes and 52 seconds, 7 minutes and 51 seconds, and bang, bang, bang. And now we switch to outside of the building, and we hear the radio talk. We don't know how much time we have. All units repeat, our priority is to evacuate the surrounding civilians. And we hear the shh, of the radio. And we have some bombs, some ATST, APD people supporting Kym. And one member says, Group D and bomb squad, stay behind and try to get down to the basement. Right, so they are still trying to defuse the bomb and go down there. So they're right outside the building. And Kym says, and it's raining, by the way, all dramatic moments have to be accompanied by rain. I'm very happy they stuck to this dramatic rule.
I mean, there's a storm, right? Like from the very beginning.
Right.
When I read this, I was like, wait, Kym's still on the roof? Like, I thought she was down by William in the last episode, because like both on the rain looking at their walkie-talkies. I was like, oh, Kym made it back to Will. I wish we could have seen the reunion, but it's okay. But
yeah,
then I saw this and I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
No, but it's the tropes, man.
I know,
Knowing when to use your tropes. I say it always.
I love it. I love these tropes together with like notebook type tropes where like the lovers separated have their angstiest moment in the rain and then they kiss. Totally
my
fine.
God, shut
I don't care how many
up.
times it's done. I like it.
My guilty pleasure movie, shut up.
It's fine. I think Nicholas Sparks writes the same exact novel every single time, and I still cry when I read, not all of them, but when I read some of them, I still cry like a baby. So yeah. Even though it's literally the same plot in every single one. And she's like, did Randall and Hawks get out? And this fellow is like, yes, but Hawks insisted on waiting by the car for you. We're the last ones out. We couldn't let him back in, but he refused to leave you behind.
I screamed. When I tell you that I screamed, I had to take a break because I could not function. Just Kim's face at that, just, I love it. Because I think that she's finally realizing how much her friends like care about her as well. Like she's put so much energy and love into her friends and into Will and into Lauren, but I don't think that she understands how much that they actually return that.
Yeah, between what happened in 103 and then this now, I think she's just like, wow, they're really like there for me. Like they won't leave me behind. They won't leave me to die or leave me in a bad situation. They'll always try to help me out, which I love.
And I really like this because like from earlier in the factory arc, it kind of seemed like Kym lost faith in Lauren, right? You know, with how she got like really mad at her for the loon of her in I think 98 or 99 when they were chasing her after the attempted arrest. And so like, you know, after 103 and she got that reunion with Lauren, I think Kim's realizing that like despite everything that has happened tonight, like, you know, there are people still there for her.
Yeah, I love it. And, you know, Fwoot, you've said often that Kym is underappreciated in many ways. And this is a moment where, you know, I think it's maybe validation for her that she's not just a side character, you know, in other people's lives. She's the focal point of her friends' lives as well.
It makes me really happy that she's getting such a big part in this arc. Like she's been a very, very important part in this arc with the whole, you know, attempted arrest and even just like showing her and Lauren's relationship. Like she's been such a big part finally, and like not saying that she didn't get attention before, but in this one, like in this arc, they really point out that yeah, she's a main character.
Yeah,
I'm always in awe. Like I think a lot about storytelling because I want to write, and I'm actually starting to write now, which is finally I'm happy I'm actually writing. But I often think like about how many characters there are in this story and how they all have their own fleshed out little, you know, mini story going on. And I'm just so amazed by how they managed to put everyone, so many different personalities with distinct problems and characters. And I'm just very impressed. So she gets this very cute little smile on her face. She's like, and he calls me an idiot. So that's so
She
sweet,
remembers.
you know?
She remembered that one time at the bar. Like
Well,
I
she
thought
was
that she
drunk.
I figured that she was too drunk to remember anything, but she remembered it all.
Aww.
Pretty sure she remembered it all.
Let's hope she
But
has
this,
the
like,
kinetic memory of being nestled against Will's chest.
Memory of Lucas taking compromising pictures of her.
By compromising.
Well, not compromising, but just like
blackmail
for her friends. Lauren bought some. I'm pretty sure Will probably bought some too. Who knows?
But is it blackmail if you are ashamed of your behavior?
Well, it's like, you know, it's just like funny things that you can hold over your friend's head. Like, I don't know about you guys, but my friends have a lot of just really ugly pictures of me at times that I'm just like, oh wow, you got a picture of that, didn't you? Wow, that's nice. But like I love it, but I'm still kind of like, you cannot show this to anybody beyond this circle of people. I hope you know, it's all in good fun, I think. But yeah, it's not
I
like
think that Kym like genuinely would not be embarrassed by it. Like I don't think that, like, I think that she would be fine with it. Will, on the other hand, would probably be super embarrassed. But Kym, I think, would just own it.
Mhm.
Yeah, Kym would totally own it. Like she's so happy about it. Like she's like, I'm gonna frame this and show this to my grandkids. Like that's what she would do with those books.
Yeah,
But
I
then
agree.
like, you know, if they have the same grandkids, because you know, they're married, then like he's gonna be like, I am never showing these to my grandkids.
Yes,
Kiwi
100% on
grandchildren,
point.
please.
Loki about this panel where she's like, huh, and he calls me an idiot. It makes me wonder, like, does she think like staying behind for someone like her is dumb, right? And like, does she think that she's not worth staying behind for?
Oh, that's a pretty negative view of this.
I mean, I know, but I'm just like, Kym,
Yeah,
are
I
there
think-
issues here that you want to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I guess there might be something to what you're saying, but I don't know if it's conscious, that's for sure. It, yeah, I mean, I guess it's not, I understand where you're coming from. I think it's just more, she's like saying, the generalized, like, okay, we're literally in a building with a bomb that's about to explode, and like, he stayed behind for me, like, what a moron. Like, but she understands, right, that he does it because she
Yeah,
cares.
there's that like, you know, she doesn't think she's worth that much for someone to stay behind, right? You know, there's this happening, and yet they're staying behind for her. So
Yeah, I hear. And then like we have the panels are literally almost exactly the same. It's kind of like spot the difference. But then you right away see just the tilt of her mouth. The next panel is already, serious and kind of wry. And she thinks to herself, I wonder if Loon made it out. And she closes her eyes and she furrows her brow. She's like, Lauren, please tell me you ran like I told you. Oh,
This just proves that she, if she ever had a doubt, like she knows. I think that she's finally just accepted that, yeah, Lauren is part of Luna. But I think that Kym, I mean, she'll be upset, but I don't think that she will mind as much, because I'm sure that she can see why, they're doing it. And I don't think that she will ever be fully over it, but I think that she will probably come to accept it like she has now. She's already accepted that Lauren's part of it, and I think that hopefully soon she'll forgive her for it.
Yeah,
if she hasn't already.
If she hasn't already.
I've been wondering this myself, though. I'm gonna put a pin in this because this I think is more of a later thing, but it's more relating to Loon and the perception of Loon. But that I'll save that for later. Let's just try to get through it.
okay. Yeah. And now we return back to the basement, and where the timer is down to 5 minutes and 43 seconds. And they're still banging against the door. And, Lauren's hat is off at this time. I don't understand how Kieran's hat is on, and honestly, how both of their hats were on for so much.
Pins.
I wear hats a lot, like not these kind of hats, but I wear like hats like they would do. And it does not stay on if I'm like running around and stuff like
Duct
that.
tape.
He
Anyway.
pins it into his hair, like one of those, like you ever seen like those old hat pins that ladies used to wear? I
Yeah.
feel like he puts one through his little man bun and just like
Kieran is not gonna be caught dead running
love
over
how-
the roofs with his hat falling off. Like he will,
Yeah.
knowing him, he will have pinned it down.
Man, I like Bundin's like logical, and she's like, yeah, he pinned it down, right? In the man bun, and I'm just like, he duct taped it to his head, like inside, right? When you kind of like fold it, like on the inside of the hat, and then on the top of his head is just duct.
Have you ever seen Matilda? When she super glues her dad's hat to his head in the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
Yes.
Danny DeVito gets his hat super glued to his head.
Oh my,
We
wait.
cannot compare Kieran to Danny DeVito. I'm sorry. That will not stand. I don't want those two images associated with each other. No offense. to
Man,
Danny
Mindy, you have not seen the PH memes I made with Danny DeVito's screen
I
cap.
don't want to. Thank
Do
you.
not traumatize Mindy.
Yes. Kieran must remain as studly as he is now in my mind. So anyway, I don't know how we came up with so many things to laugh about in this episode. I really am surprised, but okay.
It's coping.
Yeah,
coping.
this is coping. This is how we deal with the reality of what's going on.
We
Denial.
We just make memes out of it
Yeah.
and pretend that the actual thing never happened.
it's a generational coping mechanism, man.
It really is, by the way. I do think so. I've noticed it. I think it's also particularly American. Yeah, anyway, that's just a little bit of my observation. And now that I'm been in Europe for 4 weeks, but now I do think it's a particularly young American thing to like avoid serious topics. But anyway, getting back to this. So we have Lauren stumbling and her vision is again blurring out, and Kieran says it's pointless, and they both look terrible. He's sweating. We have marks on his face. Lauren is also sweating. She's like, one eye is half open, one eye is half closed. It's closed. Like they look awful. And she's panting,
as they would, being shot twice. Like, I'm surprised that they're still even going.
Yeah, the amount of adrenaline that is flowing through their systems that is keeping both of these people on their feet. I don't think Kieran's been shot, but he is still like badly bruised and beaten up and has a few more injuries now. Like too. But he's like on his he's like running on fumes at this point. Lauren got shot. Like, it's not been a good day. They are, I don't understand how they are conscious or standing, but that just shows strength of like determination and will and a heck ton of adrenaline that's like helping out.
Yep. And Lauren, does one final bang and just tries again. And then she has the most, I think I did see this expression while she was screaming it. And wow, she's like, fuck. And it's just like this desperate, agonized, sad, horrified expression of like, oh my God, we can't get out. I think that
this is when she realizes like, yeah, we can't get out this way.
Yeah, I think this is the moment where she accepts that she's gonna die here.
Where she starts thinking about it. I don't know about acceptance, but where she I
mean, she was thinking about it earlier too, though, like, when she first found the bomb. She had that one moment where of determination, right? Where she's like, we're gonna get out of this. But after this, she's like, okay, we might not be getting out of this.
Yeah.
And
sorry, you go.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, low-key, I think this episode, I don't keep track of these things. I know some people do, but like this episode might have put Lauren in the lead for most F-bombs.
I need to update my tallies because a lot more got added in these fast pass episodes. I need to update my tallies. I will be maintaining it.
This episode are like,
these episodes,
damn.
Kym went from 0 to like the lead in that one episode. I didn't maintain my tally because I'm obviously involved, and I was like, oh my God, Kym is now in the lead when I read that part, even though that was not supposed to be the immediate reaction. But I will get back to you guys on the tally. I need to go through this season again and retally everything. Will is back in last. Oh, I think he's tied with Kieran for last right now.
I love that you're tracking it. That is hilarious.
No, it's my favorite word in a bad way. I say it far too often. I was talking about this with some of my classmates today, and it's just like, I don't know, something that's so relatable about seeing them use the same language that I would, but obviously they use it during very serious times usually. So yeah.
You're like, I dropped my spoon.
Well, no, because the only other time, there's one time where it was like Lady A makes a cameo again. I think Will says it, or Kym says it. Yeah. I think it was Will. And it's just like, but yeah, all of these other ones are just like anguish, and it's just, it hits hard. So like, good use of your F-bombs. You're not overusing them, and they feel impactful. Like, this is just her being like, you can almost hear her saying it with her facial expression. She's like like it's like a wheeze or like a whimper almost, just from the facial alone. I love it, but I also hate it, and it makes me sad.
Yep. And her blood is just dripping on the floor. I mean, that's how serious her wound is. And Kieran looks at her, and again, he fades out, like she's really blacking out. And she slides against the door, just leans her head their size, and says, they slide down, and she's like, looks like we're gonna die. At least we alerted the EPD. And, she looks absolutely terrible. She's speaking from half-slitted eyes. And they're both leaning against the door, like completely wiped out. And Kieran also slides down, and he says, hopefully everyone's far enough when this thing goes off. And Lauren says they have to be. And I don't remember who it was that pointed out, but somebody on Discord pointed out that, you know, Kieran is letting slip his concern for humanity here. Like, he's not putting on the front of like, oh, I don't care, I'm just gonna kill people and I don't know, it's so much fun. And he's like, no, he's being real. He's like, I hope everyone is far away, because this is his real character, is he doesn't want people to
That's
die.
something I noticed. He does not lie basically this entire arc. I don't think there are any lies we hear from any of the main characters other than like when Kym was about to arrest Lauren. I don't think from that point on there have been any lies from the characters. They're too exhausted. It's too much of a real situation that they're dealing with. He can't be putting on a front. He's too exhausted, and he recognizes the gravity of the situation. So it's like, I'm glad that he's being real, because we've seen he cares about the people. He cares about Kym and Will and Lucas and all of them, right? So he's being genuine in what he might be thinking is his last moments. And it's just, I know it's like almost a cliche, but people almost like when they know they have nothing else to do, nothing to lose, and it's like they might be about to die or whatever. It's just kind of like, what's the point of hiding behind a mask, hiding behind a persona? Like, but also I think that's more of a subconscious thing. I don't think he even realizes that he's doing it. Like, I think this is just him being himself. Just
I love it.
to be.
I'm sorry that it took this to get to the situation, but I'm happy that Kieran is finally being himself. Really. I mean, everything that happens next is just, to me, candy for my soul, or I don't know, I should say something healthy. Salad and
Chicken
soup for my soul.
Chicken soup for the soul.
Yes. Well,
I had to read those when I was a preteen.
And, you know, Lauren says they have to be, and she's leaning against the door, and she's like, huh. And she has a little smile on her face, and she's like, chuckles, and she's like, even if we get out, maybe I'll just bleed to death, who knows. And
could just see her. She this is not exactly joking to Cope. It's not entirely joking, but more of like she's kind of trying to distract, I think, both herself and Kieran, that if they die there, they're, I think that she's trying to distract herself from it possibly dying in a different way than blowing up.
You know, it's she's doing what we're doing, making jokes to cope, like, right, or just to like, she's just kind of thinking about everything, and she's like, oh, that's actually just really funny, like in an ironic way. She's just trying to make these jokes and like make light of it at least a little bit, so that it's not just all doom and gloom toward the end, I think.
Yeah,
But
and she also
Kieran
recognizes
none of it.
I think she's realizing how wounded she is, and how much like in her arm needs attention.
I mean, like, she's being logical, right? Because like, even if they get out of this, like, what is she gonna do next, right? Like,
and Kieran like jerks away from the door, right? I love to see, and with a super concerned look on his face. And I love to see that, because again, it shows his concern about her, and like to the extent that he, even in his weakened state, it energizes him enough to like jump away from the door. He's so concerned about her and about her emotional well-being and
physical well-being. Like I know I wasn't on the podcast for 102, but because I just read that like 2 days ago. But him being so concerned for her, like, and kind of letting slip how he really feels, just was so gratifying in a way to me. Just like, we only ever see him lose his cool when it comes to Lauren, because she's like the closest person in his life to him, whichever way you interpret that. She is the only person in his life that he's like with to the end, basically, in his mind, I think. So her even joking about like bleeding to death, right? Because like obviously they both think they're gonna get blown up, but her even joking about like dying another way or like something is just not something he is willing to think about or wanting to think about, because because it almost removes the hope of like, even if they get out, she'll die anyways, and I don't think he can afford to think about that.
Yeah. And then Lauren, I can't say it all, so much. It's amazing. Lauren reaches out her bloody hand to him, and she's like, hey, shh. And then, shh, listen. And she's leaning back. Her eyes aren't even open. Like, that's how exhausted she is. And then she does open her eyes, and she says, and she kind of looks like she's leaning in closer to him. And she says, thank you. And again, they're both sweating. They look awful. And she grabs his hand. And Kieran, I love it. Kieran's shocked face when she grabs his hand. Oh my God, I'm going to cry because he never gets that emotional affection. I'm sorry. I can't. This whole episode, this whole thing that just happened now, just, it gave me so much warmth in my heart. This is like, I live for these moments and I'm so happy. I know it's like, yeah, I know it's supposed to be a terrible moment, but it's amazing, beautiful, stunning, profound, lovely, heartfelt moments for me. This is my favorite part of this
Honestly,
whole.
I really liked all of the kind of soft moments in this really stressful episode because it helped me a lot. Like, I don't know if I would have, how well I would have been able to make it through this episode with all of these, you know, this whole episode was tense, but all of those little soft times just made it all worth it.
Helps with the pacing of the episode as well, right? Because if you just have all action, you get exhausted by the end. So especially because this one arc has been going on for 3 months. Also, I really appreciated that joke in the last episode. It's like, feels like we've been in this factory for 3 months. So I'm bringing up stuff from the previous episodes. But yeah, so like having these moments of soft and quiet and just like intimate, emotional like interactions is just the sort of kind of rest that we need for this moment, so that when the action picks up again, it hits all the more hard because now there's more stakes and like all of that, you know. So putting this was very smart. Also, this is just a natural thing to do, right? If you think you're gonna die in a few minutes, you want to get everything off of your chest. You want to express yourself because you don't know if you're ever gonna have the chance to do it again. So it's again an incredibly relatable and understandable thing that Lauren's doing here, just expressing how she really feels and stuff. And Kieran not expecting it at all is the most Kieran thing in the world, and I love it.
Sorry, continue.
I'm done. It's just me rambling.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, you guys know that I am not the biggest Loki shipper in the world. Like, I liked it, but over the months since I've been in this fan, I was just like, it's okay. And like, I will deliberately just trash Kieran. But like, even I like this moment. Like, even like I wanted to cry during this because like, you can see like how, in the coming scene that like Lauren is very unprepared for this, in my opinion. Like, she's making her peace right now. Right, because as Bundin said, like she doesn't know if she's ever going to be able to do it again, and so like, the contrast between Lauren in that moment of like her trying to process what's happening and her beginning to accept it, compared to Kieran, who even makes a line about like, oh, I knew I was going to die sometime, but this isn't how I expected it. Like, I don't remember what he said. It's something along those lines, but like, just the contrast between their two attitudes to this. Like, Kieran is ready for this, like, but I don't think Lauren is.
And he's not ready for her to be ready for it either.
Yeah, he doesn't like, he's all right. He would have been all right if like it was just him, but like you can see as soon as like she brings the idea of her dying, right? Like he's like, oh crap. He's like, it takes him by surprise, right? Because like he never expected someone else coming down with him.
Anyway, so and he's like he has a super shocked expression because nobody, or I don't know if nobody, but it's probably been a really long time since anybody has, comforted him physically like that. And she tells him with a smile on her face, which is, to me, it's beautiful because she's able to find peace in this moment. And even though she, thinks she's about to die, she's able to focus on their connection. And it does give her, it's a good feeling for her because she's smiling at him. And she says, thank you for helping me save them, for helping me since the beginning. I'm sorry you're stuck here with me. And we see the blood dripping. I'm glad we ran into each other that night. I know our partnership is a match made in hell, but I'm glad that it was you. And we have this beautiful moment of them staring into each other's eyes.
I want to know why this hits so much harder. Do you want to know why this hits so much harder? It's because we know for a 100% fact that Kieran still feels guilty about 43 and everything that happened with that. So I don't think he's allowed himself any sort of like closeness with Lauren. We've seen him like almost reach out to like comfort her, but then pull back a few times, look at her, see the blood on her neck, all that stuff. So to have her holding his hand and leaning in and smiling at him, looking him in the eye and saying, thank you, I'm glad that we met, I'm glad that we did this, I think is just, it's just so good. It's so good. Grind it up and inject it into my arm and let me just enjoy it while I can. Just, it's so good. It's
Images
so
are just gonna be burned in my head.
Man, like, you know, I think this is like, I mean, I think it's weird for Kieran, right? Because he helped get her into this mess, right? But she's thanking him, right? And I like, and I think this moment made him realize that, you know, she genuinely did appreciate being around him for a bit. Not the entire time, of course, but like, you know, lately, as of late, like, he has had a friend in someone, right? And like, you know, you go back to episode 84 and when he says like, I don't belong here, like, I mean, he kind of does though. Maybe not yet with the like Kym and Will, but like, you know, he does have a friend in Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit hesitant to jump to make it platonic because I think, sorry, not platonic, too romantic because
Yeah,
I
like,
think,
am I hearing Fwoot correctly? I was like, what?
yeah, it's like I'm not ready to make it like a romantic thing. I think it's better platonic right now because, you know, like they just got over this hurdle, let them have it.
No, I
But
think that
yeah,
that's
like,
fair. Like,
Mhm.
because
yeah,
like I am a trash shipper, right? So I have that in my heart, right? So I love doing all of that, and it invigorates me, and I love seeing it. But like logically, it's just like a beautiful moment between two people who care about each other and expressing one of them expressing to the other just how much they mean to them, right? I mean,
yeah.
we've seen this building up, and it's just
I live for this.
it's relationships. It's healing. It's forgiveness as well. I mean, we had more forgiveness arguably in 93, but like reinforcing that still and just kind of showing in your last moments when you can do anything and lay it all out, you say this. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. Like, we need this. We want this. Like, man, I mean, I know like they think that they're about to die, but like, you know, it was really nice seeing that, you know, seeing Lauren say that to him.
The edit's
And
gonna be so good in like a month. Oh my
yeah.
god.
But and now I need Kieran to have the bonding with Kym and Will. So but yeah,
Yeah, we've still a lot to unpack in this scene before we
yeah,
get to that.
there's a thought I had. What was it? It was like it was okay, like, you know, this moment is probably going to get like super romanticized, but again, I think it just works so well platonically, right? Because, you know, it hasn't been that long since those events, him. So like, you know, just letting them progress slowly, it's like, oh, it's nice.
Yeah, I
Building
think
the foundation.
series is definitely slow burn.
You know, if you're not in it for the long haul, why are you here at all? You need to go through this process. Like I've said this before, they can't get together now. I would hate it. No, we need to get the build up. We need to get the stuff. Like, you know, we're like, hey, I need to remake that graph of the interactions because I've been using Excel a lot more, so I'm better with graphing. I will graph their relationship now. We need to get like hair. We're like hair, you know, this is like friendship mid-zone. We need to get hair. So
my only
yeah, I will do that.
concern, oh sorry, my only concern with Loki right now is that, and especially this scene, is that low key and kind of high key, there is a lot of trauma bonding going on right now. And I don't think that's super healthy, like in my opinion, because like, you know, they're bonding right now, but it's because they both think that they're about to die. And I don't know,
Yeah.
like I think some healthier bonding would come from something else, but like, you know, a picnic together or something, or like laser tag.
Yeah, I hear, but I mean,
Fake guns, not real ones.
we've talked before about how similar Lauren and Kieran are, so I think there's quite enough, even if they would have met in normal circumstances, like even if he wasn't the Purple Hyacinth and Lauren wasn't a police officer, I still think they would have connected.
Same, Mindy.
Yeah.
And you know
that
that
reminds me-
I've written 3 chapters of that. Fourth one to be started. I'm sorry.
The one with the artist, right? Kieran is artist.
Yeah, you just
Yeah, I read it. Mhm. Yeah.
Like the match made in hell line. I really like that
Oh,
line
yes.
because you know, I know our partnership was a match made in hell because, you know, the circumstances that they both come from were not ideal. Like, you know, and everything that they've done together kind of sometimes, you know, turns out pretty badly like this. And just, you know, it's kind of hellish for like half the time. But, you know, despite their hardships, right? Despite like everything that they've gone through together or separately, you know, she's glad that like he was, you know, there at least. Oh, Mindy, I couldn't hear you for a second there. You might
The
have cut out.
feels. I just gave a very emotional sigh and said the feels.
The feels. Like if people feel nothing reading that, that's very hard for me to believe that this is a very deeply emotional and character driven scene. And it's just so good.
I was like, also the like, I'm sorry you're stuck here with me line.
Blaming
like,
herself again.
oh my god, yeah. She's like, Lauren, stop it. Stop it.
I love her so much because she has so many flaws in a way. I love her. Lauren is one of my favorite characters ever. I just love the way that she's written. Like, she's not written as a perfect character. She has like a ton of flaws and problems, but she's amazing.
Like,
Agree 100%. She's such an amazing, amazing character.
I think
So.
Wait,
What?
I just want to say, I think part of her guilt from there, like, I'm sorry you're stuck here with me, is because like she knows, like, she has an idea of how bad like Kieran's life has been so far, and so like she regrets that like he won't have a future. That's what my interpretation on it is, like, right? Like, and she blames herself for it. Like, she blames herself that like, you know, because of me, Kieran you know, is going to die here, and he's like, you know, never going to be able to fulfill like his aspirations, right? Or like any hope for a future he had is dying here because of me. And I think like she partly blames that on her, like she blames it on herself, right?
I feel like Kieran also kind of blames himself in a way. I can't remember if he mentions anything about that, but like they're both the type of people who's kind of self-sacrificial in a way. Like like they would give themselves up to protect another person that they care about, right? So I feel like they have the same mentalities. Like you know that meme with like the person jumping in front of the bullet, but then no, and then they bend back, no, like it's like they keep trying to like protect each other. I feel like they both kind of have that same mentality. So, but I don't think he says it, but I'm pretty sure he's similar with that. And it's just like,
yeah. So Kieran's expression when he hears Lauren saying all that to him, it's just, again, completely shocked and taken aback. I know, so beautiful, because this man has been living with the world's hatred directed at him for God knows how many years, and having to live with hating himself for doing the awful things that he does. And he hears somebody telling him nice things about him, that she likes him and appreciates him and thanks him. I mean, this is just mind-blowing stuff for him, and so healing and so needed. Like, this poor guy finally gets some salve to his just shattered self-perception.
you see everything in his face.
I love it so much. These are literally, by the way, this kind of scene is like my favorite, like literally my top, like emotional breakdown connection. It's my number one like thing that I like in life, honestly, I guess. So then he turns away and he laughs and he's like, huh, I'm glad I didn't kill you that night too. Which is a very interesting response, I guess. You know,
He
it is a little
hesitated and we
bit-
don't know why.
Yes, right. And he doesn't know why either. Oh, yeah, but we'll leave the mystery deducting for a different time. But you know, it is a little bit of the, you know, like humorous Kieran that deflects that we've come to know. It is a bit of that, but he does go straight back to being serious afterwards. He says, even, and then he looks away, he's not looking at her. And he says, even if I've been friends with death for a while, this isn't how I imagine myself to go. But, and he looks at her and he has this, that look is so real. It's just beautiful. And he says, there are worse people to die with. And he has this little grin on his face. And it's so, so beautiful.
That might be one of my favorite lines in the series. There are worse people to die with.
It's so good. I'm not like, I don't consider myself like a super hardcore shipper in like any of Purple Hyacinth, but this whole scene just absolutely destroyed me.
Mentally, As the World Caves In by Matt Maltese was playing in my head the entire time that I read this. It is my emotional breakdown song, and I apply it to everything in PH. Like, not just to this scene, like in a romantic sense, but like, you know, just to everyone, right? Like, I have like this little project with it currently, and it's like Lauren and Tristan, like their relationship, not romantic, of course. And then, but like, you know, then like Kym and Will, and then Kym and Lauren, and like 103, like, and then, you know, this scene, of course, it's just like, yeah, like that song is just blasting in my head 24/7. And when I read this, and I don't have the music on right now, when I read this for the first time, the music wasn't working for me, so I just had to use my own mentally. So
music didn't work for you for this one.
I still don't know what this song sounds like. Like, I haven't listened to it at all.
I normally sometimes the
I
music
have-
doesn't work
Because
and I just
don't
leave
know,
it.
it stresses me. Like, I'm like, oh, what does it sound like? Like, because am I gonna have an emotional breakdown listening to this? Sorry, I'm not
It was
continue.
so yeah, I don't normally listen to music if it doesn't work because my webtoon tends to glitch and it just doesn't work sometimes. But after seeing it was the season finale, I waited like 2 minutes to get it to work. It just kept refreshing because I needed it to work for the season finale.
Yeah, no, the use of music in this episode, like every episode, is just great. Like, I was telling you guys earlier about how my boyfriend didn't realize that Kieran was the one who shot those guys in episode 101. And that was because he's like, he loves the fact that PH has music that plays with it, because he will go on YouTube and find manga and like videos on YouTube and they have music in the background, and he does that. So when I told him about this comic, he's like, it comes with music like for it. And I was like, yes. So he was like, yeah, sorry, I guess I didn't notice it, I just got distracted by the music. So I can't wait for him to get to this one in like 3 weeks.
Nice. So Amelia actually did a whole analysis of the Love is Blind motif that plays in here, and yeah, it's on Discord. It's like a long analysis of the different episodes it plays in and what's happening during those moments. So yeah, music is definitely quite significant, especially at the end, which, you know, there's a whole song. So anyway, so he tells her that there are worse people to die with. And then Lauren, you know, kind of her eyes widen a bit, and then she looks away and you see her eyebrows furrowing, and you can see her distress because it feels like this is where she's like, oh my God, like we're gonna die. And Kieran notices that and he frowns, and then he pulls her in for a hug. It's just, oh my God.
I had to stop reading. For some reason I wasn't like expecting so much relationship progress already. And so it just hit me when I read it for the first time. And so I had to stop reading because it took me by surprise.
I loved it because so often, I mentioned this earlier, so often in this series, especially toward like the second half of season 2, we've seen Lauren become emotional or upset, and Kieran wants to reach out to her, but then he hesitates and he pulls back because he doesn't think that he can help. What can he do to help her feel like better? He's a terrible person. He's part of the reason why she's like upset in his mind, right? But she's been slowly on the course of like forgiving him and like confiding in him again, and they've been rebuilding their relationship. So in this moment, after they've just kind of expressed how much they care about each other, and he sees her like slowly begin to like panic again about dying, he's like, no. And then he finally like just, we don't even see him hesitate or anything. He just reaches out and pulls her head into his shoulder just to have someone there to like hold her and to comfort her. Like, it's the effect of just a hug or someone holding you to them, physical touch like that, can be so helpful in a situation. Like, I've had friends who have like in like getting panic attacks and like, can you give me a hug right now, and I'll just hold them, and you can just feel that then slowly like calm down. So him just doing this, just wanting to ease her mind and just let her know that they're in this together, it's all right, it'll be okay. Not like, obviously it's like not, but it's just like a comfort. And to build up to this, for this to be the moment when he reaches out to her and like holds her and lets her know that it's okay, is just one of my favorite moments, I think, in the entire series.
That's all I can say. Satisfied sigh. It's so beautiful. Yeah, we just stare at this panel. I already did stare at this panel for a long long time.
Edit my wallpaper. Almost.
What?
However, I almost made that panel of him saying it's okay, my wallpaper. However, I have Belle RC as my wallpaper right now. So priorities.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, man, but it's okay. Like, oh man, Kieran, like, I don't want to like you, but you're making it very hard right now.
Yes.
Very hard.
Hallelujah.
Hooray.
Like, when he says like it's okay and you know it's not a lie, there's no red text like anywhere in this episode, and like it's okay, like, you know, I don't know how to take it because like they're about to die, right? But you know, they're finding comfort in one another, and I think that's why he says that it's okay, because you know, like, it's all right, like he has her, right? That, you know, just I'll hold you, right? And like I'll be with you as we go.
Oh.
So good.
Man, not my eyes tearing up.
No, but it's so real, right? Like,
Mindy, I hope you're happy.
I'm beyond ecstatic. It's keeping me up even though it's like 4:30 in the morning, and I'm yes.
I hope you sleep after this.
please rest.
I have to take my kids to day camp, so I'm not going to get too much sleep. But plus, I'll upload it because I'm a little obsessed, and I want to upload it before I leave for the day. But anyway, worth it. Yeah.
So like, okay, but kind of like, imagine how awkward it must be for Lauren. Like, her face is just like in Kieran's chest. Like, I know some people who would want to be in her place right now, but like that's not the point. Like,
It
she's just
is
like
such an awkward place to
there.
be. Like, he could
Just
have
raise your hand, Bundin.
he could have
like, I mean,
put
look
her
at
face
like,
anywhere else, but it is
yeah.
like face down. Like, you could
Yeah.
have like put it sideways. No,
like,
just
yeah, like
it is
maybe
just
on like
I mean,
shoulder, right? So like, you know, they're actually hugging, but like her position right now, like she's like super contorted, like because
It
like,
looks
you know, her like
it looks a bit
legs are
awkward.
facing,
Yeah.
it's
a
and
bit
then like
awkward,
she's like
yeah.
completely twisted
it's
around.
honestly fun. It's honestly funnier in the coming up panel because his coat is just like I don't know how she's just like suffocating in his jacket.
You know what I think it is as well, though, because I don't know if anybody's ever done this, but when you get really emotional, right, about anything, that this is something I do. If I begin to get like lose my composure, I hide my face in my hands, or like, so like my mom sometimes she'll like see me when I'm like about to cry, and she'll like hug me, and I like bury my face like in her shoulder or in her chest and just kind of like stay there, because it's like I don't want to have outside be seeing that, even if it's just us two in the room, you know. So I think it's, he can see that she's stressing, he can see that she's like beginning to lose it, so it's kind of like giving her almost that privacy to allow herself to let go a little bit.
Yeah.
And to, while offering her that comfort. And I personally related to that, and I thought that that was it. It might be awkward, like in terms of like her lying down, but like, you know, she got shot in the arm. Maybe she's just like, can't move it. Like she's like, so who knows? But yeah, just.
Yeah, I think it also just shows the, you know, it's like he didn't take time. She didn't take time to adjust. He just pulled her in. So however she landed up, you know, it's just, and I think that while it might be like physically uncomfortable in other situations, I think that because of their emotions now, like it doesn't matter, because they just want to be comforted.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So beautiful. So beautiful. And like his hand on her hair is just,
He keeps his hand on the back of her head that entire time.
And now, so Lauren's has her hand on top of Kieran's. And by the way, I don't know about you guys, but there's definitely some errors over here, because I was like going back and forth with the hands and the hand on the shoulder. And I was like, okay, it's wrong. It switches back and forth, the left hand and the right hand and whatever. But yeah,
it does, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Wait, I just saw that.
The first, like the top one where it's the first one in her hand is on top of his, it's his, I believe that's his left hand, but then it has to be his right hand, because his left hand would be on her other side. It would be the one that's holding her head.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense, but it's okay.
Yeah, I saw people talking about it, right? And I was like, oh, I'll have to check that out. And then I didn't reread ever, so like this is the first time I'm seeing it. And I scrolled down earlier and I was like, oh, I don't see a difference. And then I just realized like, it was like, wait.
Yeah,
Lauren,
also from panel.
Are you sure your thumb should be over there? I mean, it's kind of cohesive. It's pretty much cohesive, right? Like you can kind of visualize like the motions that they're doing. It's just Lauren's thumb is in some weird places right now.
it's kind of like this. I think she kind of slipped her thumb under his hand to like grip it, but her hand, at least it's her left hand, no, her right hand. It's her left arm is has a hole in it right now, so that's not moving. So
yeah, but anyway, so
a hand parallels.
Oh yes. Wait, so
and you can see the blood drop, which is like the original deal, you know, when they like cut their hands, and you can see the blood that drops.
Yeah, and it's what's happening emotionally is the opposite, because you know her hand is on top of his and it's trembling, and he realized, right, so she's basically like, right, Lena said this very poignantly on the Discord, that he's been prepared for death. Like he was on a suicide mission all along. He knew that he was going to die some way or another, and he just wanted to take down Leader with him. But Lauren is facing death for the first time, and she hasn't thought that she would die. She thought she would live, and this is extremely difficult for her. So her, you know, her hand is trembling, and Kieran sees that, and he flips his hand around to hold her hand. And it's the exact inverse, right? We've had 3 very strong images of their hands shaking before that we pointed out, right? And this is the 4th one. Right, this is number 4. And this is just the most like emotionally comforting. And every handshake is like progressing. And this is just like pure love. And again, don't take it. It doesn't, you know, you could take it platonically also, which I do. I still do think it's platonic. And it's just so stunning.
Anybody else think that both of their hands have their own blood on it? And it's like the same sort of like intermingling of the blood, like with the deal?
I don't know. Has Kieran been bleeding? Like we only see.
I don't know, but I mean, it could just be like a parallel to that, and it's just Lauren's blood all over. But I would like to, like, I don't want to think about Kieran bleeding, obviously, but
I really, what I really like about this one is that, this, like, if you think about it, as Mindy was saying, this is the most emotional handshake, right? Or like, you know, hand grasping, whatever you want to call it. But like from like a a logical standpoint, right? Because, you know, when you shake hands with someone, it's like, you know, it's very formal, you know, you associate like that with like business, right? Or professionalism, right? But, you know, when you offer someone's hands like this, where one goes over the other, it's more something that you would expect between friends, right? Or like, you know, someone that you're close to, right? You offer your hand and they take it and then you go do whatever you want. Like you, it isn't something professional. It's something that's, you know, emotional.
Mhm. Oh, so beautiful. Ah, and there's this like little drop of blood just like going down from the page, and the beautiful like against this white backdrop and then landing on the floor. And then we have this amazing like whitewashed image of them. Oh, sorry. I want to make this the cover of the
wait.
episode.
No, focus.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we could all show this to our screen. Gorgeous.
Oh, I did the Kieran one work earlier. I guess this one's a lot more whitewashed, so it's kind of out of focus. But I don't know about you guys, but like the way that it's lit, right? Because clearly this is meant to show more of a frame of mind than actual like physical lighting. It almost looks like daylight to me, like morning light or something like that, where it's just like something pure and real and simple in a way, because it's just them. There's no background or anything. It just kind of shows they are just in each other. Like all they care about right now is being with each other and holding each other and taking that time to really just accept it, but they're accepting it together. And it's just such a beautiful, simple, I'm trying to think of the words to describe that panel, and I can't. Like, it's not ethereal, not like
Yeah, it has that.
Also,
it's like serenity and
serenity.
closeness.
Also, you can see the little drop of blood on the floor. I just noticed that right underneath their hands. Wow. Continuity, great.
I love what you said, Bundin, how it's just the two of them. And, you know, they must be deriving great comfort, even though they're facing death, at least they're not alone. And to face it with someone close to you it's a comfort. I thankfully have never been in that situation, but I can, you know, we can all put ourselves in that mind frame. And it's just so beautiful to see them together. Love it.
And this is the time when the music cuts. And then we just have nothing for a bit, I think, at this point. So it's just quiet, which I think it perfectly kind of gets you, it mentally kind of prepares you for what happens next. But that entire sequence there is just one of the best in the entire series in terms of like emotional gratification.
Yeah, probably for them in this moment, also the rest of the world is fading. And, you know, they must have quiet in their heads now also because they're so focused on each other. Oh, I love this so much. So now Lauren's head is, you know, buried in his chest and her eyes are closed. And Kieran says, and we see just his chin, we don't see his eyes. He says, Lauren, and Lauren opens one eye. If this is the end, I have to tell you that and then Lauren, because her eyes are open, sees a vent behind him and cuts him off. And she says, unless this is not the end. And then we continue. But guys, what was he gonna say?
Okay, so my immediate like shipper brain was like, he's gonna tell her he loves her, right? Because I'm trash, right? And part of me still thinks it's something along those lines, but I don't know. It could be anything. It could be like, because we know also like beyond like the shippy things, it could be just another expression of like how he feels or something like that. But I actually just realized this as I began to speak, but he could have brought up something from, because we know that he knows shit going down with Sandman. We know that he knows him, right? Because of how he reacted on the bridge in 84, right? There's something there. He knows something that she doesn't, and I feel like maybe in those last moments he wanted to give her some closure about that. But they use vent mafia. So.
I'm upset that she cut him off. I mean, you know, obviously they have to get out, but I wish that I wish that he would have been able to finish what he was saying, because if it was backstory stuff, like I want to know that so badly. Like in almost any story, information is such an important thing to me, because I don't like not knowing things. I like having everything figured out and like fitting nicely, and no, having the possibility that we were so close to learning something super big, and then it was just gone.
Mhm. You know, actually, like, I didn't think it was anything about like Kieran's past or like anything with the current mystery. I thought, like, I didn't think about it actually. Like after that, I was just like, after the finale, I was like, I don't know what Kieran was gonna say. It doesn't bother me right now. I was more preoccupied with other stuff, but like now that I think about it, I think he was gonna apologize like himself, because we see that Lauren is making her peace, right? She's apologizing, right? She apologized to him about this, and Kieran says like he talks about how, like, you know, this is the end, right? And I'm you know, there are worse people to die with, whatever. But he doesn't apologize for anything, right? So I was thinking that here he was gonna apologize, right? Because he says, let me scroll back down to it. He says, I have to tell you that so it's something to do with him, right? Because I have to tell you that I'm like, but so I was thinking like, you know, if they're making their peace right now and they're getting stuff off their chest, you know, what's one thing that has kind of haunted Kieran like over the last season? And that would be the events of that episode. So I'm thinking like, was he going to apologize for that? Because, you know, up to this point, they still haven't had a moment where they like sat down and talked about it.
But they kind of did, though. I mean,
In the closet.
he brought it up in the Carmine Camellia, right?
I mean, in the closet. But
Yeah.
like, you know, Lauren was pretty pissed at him. And to me personally, like, you know, when they were on better speaking terms, like where they sat down, right? And they're like, okay, so this happened, right? You know, they both want to be there, right? And have that conversation and, you know, actually like get that closure on it, because I still don't think either of them got closure on it, seeing how just a few episodes later, Kieran was seeing the like blood marks on Lauren's neck in the shape of a hand. So like, I don't think, like, at least he didn't get closure on it. Probably Lauren didn't get closure on it either. So like, you know, is this the moment where he like finally gets what he's been thinking, you know, off his chest, right?
They're definitely setting up for that, because that the imagery of that blood on her neck has been pervasive throughout the season. So and honestly, I feel like now that they have gotten this off of their chest, where it's like they both have expressed how much they care about each other, I feel like that is like the perfect place to like jump off into that conversation at some point. So we're probably gonna get that at some point soon, like, because now they're at like that emotional level where they can have that conversation, and like, because Kieran, I don't think has gotten over it like at all.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what he was gonna tell her, is that he was gonna apologize for that and just say like, you know, like, you know, in a, you know, I don't know, make his peace with that, right? Because they're about to die.
Yeah. So I was thinking more along Bundin's lines. My first thought was obviously, oh, I love you, right? But I honestly don't think he was going to say that.
No, as much as I would like to, I don't think either. I've tried to hold on to that, but it's just like, no, it's not. You're stupid. Don't. It's not that. Stop.
Yeah. So I think it's I agree it's information, and I get the impression that it's like, it feels to me like there's guilt there. So I feel like it's something, information about something that he did maybe after he met her, but I actually suspect before he met her, something that affects her that is negative in her life.
Wait,
and
Mindy,
what?
This better not be what I'm thinking it is. Like
the Kieran betrayal theory.
Yeah, like I never thought about that.
It is.
Like,
It is that theory, I guess. Where although I honestly think it would be something from before he met her, where like he did something that does affect her that he maybe wasn't aware of, that it was her or whatever. I do think it was before he met her, because I just can't imagine him doing it afterwards.
No.
But yeah, I feel like there's guilt associated with that. So, you know, a lot of people have speculated, oh, did Kieran kill Dylan? I don't think Kieran knows who Dylan is in her life, though. That's not my only thing with that. She's never mentioned Dylan, and we know Kieran hasn't been digging in her past. Like, he only did a little bit of digging in the archives, but I don't feel like he knows anything that, like, any connection between Lauren and Dylan.
Well, yeah, that was one thing. I think this was from earlier episodes, but like she kind of talks about, oh wait, was it in this episode? No, it was in a later one. It was like, I'm not gonna die in an explosion or something. He's like, what do you mean? Like, does he not know that she was at the train station and stuff? Like,
yeah,
like
it doesn't.
But I guess the only time she ever mentioned stuff was when she talked about Sandman being there and the picture with her parents' car and stuff. She never talked about her own personal trauma with being there. So he would know that. But I think the thing with people trying to like get into that, because I feel like there's some sort of connection from before they met somehow, which is part of the reason why he hesitates it, at least in my opinion. And I think a lot of people draw it to Dylan because if they knew each other when they were like young, Dylan would have probably mentioned his friend who could hair lies and stuff, because I feel like that's a theory of mine, is that's how Kieran so easily is like accepts that she can hair lies, is because he kind of knew about it before. Then again, he saw her in the cafe, so that could kind of write that off. But there's something with them in their past that connects them beyond anything, and I don't know what it is. So I feel like he was going to say something about that, because we do know that we're all pretty sure that he is connected to that train station tragedy in some way as well. So
actually, like, I'm very 50-50 on that, like whether like Kieran actually knew. Is Bundin frozen for okay, but then you were frozen there for a minute.
Yeah, my laptop just went into battery saver mode, and my internet connection is unstable apparently. Nice.
Oh,
my university really loves giving me good Wi-Fi. Huh. Made me buy a router to get my Wi-Fi bullshit, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm like, low-key, I'm like kind of unsure if Kieran knew Dylan, because you know, it's such a popular theory that a lot of people have just taken it as reality, but I'm like,
yeah, we don't know.
Okay, but did he though? Like, like I've completely crossed off Kieran as, or not completely, but like I've mainly crossed off Kieran as being one of the car kids. It's still possible, but do I personally think that, like, do I want it to happen? Honestly, not really. Like, I'm just, you know, I think Soph and F would do it in a really cool way, but like, you know, as of now, I'm just like, whatever happens. Like, I have no preference for him being there or not, really. Like, because I personally want Bella to be one of the car kids, but that's a whole other matter. But yeah, I'm like, I don't know, man, because you know, like Kieran said that he didn't really know about her, you know, prior to meeting her, right? He didn't really know that much about her. So like if he met Dylan, then he would have known a bit more about her, but mainly it seems like he learns from her from his experiences with her rather than the experiences that he hears about from others.
This is why I say, why did he hesitate is one of the biggest mysteries in this entire comic, because the implications of it go beyond just them as characters, right? It connects to something. We just don't know what. And I need to know.
Honestly, I don't even think that there's a big reason. Like, there may not even be a big reason. Like, I think it's completely possible that he didn't kill her because he could, right?
Maybe,
like,
but they emphasize that so much in episode 2, right? Like,
I know they emphasize it, but like, I feel like for, you know, some story like PH where it's about healing and stuff, right? The answer is just going to be something that's really simple, because it's one of the biggest mysteries, right, in the entire series. And so we're probably getting the answer closer to the end of the series, right? So, you know, when everything's like, I see it as like when everything's coming to a close, right? Every plot thread is, you know, ending and stuff or whatever, getting tied up. how I see it in my mind is that there's going to be some scene, right, where Lauren and Kieran sit down, and Lauren asks him, why didn't you kill me that night? And he tells her something that's like, something that's just really simple. And then, soon after the series ends.
Yeah, but he didn't know. He doesn't know, right? At this point in
Yeah.
time, he doesn't know because we
So,
have that
yeah.
scene where he asks himself why.
Yeah, so like I see it like he thinks about it, right? Over the series, he's going to be thinking about it. We'll see it more in season 3 and the probable season 4, and then the conclusion he comes to is just it isn't that complicated. It's just something to do with humanity or whatever.
Nah, I think it's going to be a big reveal. I think it's going to be some plot thing where like, yeah, they knew each other in the past, like not in a past life, but like, yeah, I think it'll be a major reveal.
I mean,
If anybody has
Mindy.
watched Fruits Basket, it's gonna be something like that. Mark my words. Oh, it's gonna hurt.
Mindy, it's either like something really, in my mind, it's either something really simple or the Bichron theory.
The what?
The Bichron theory. The betrayal theory that he betrayed her like before they met, like before they formally met. And so like, and you were saying like he was going to tell her about something that he did, right? That ends up affecting her, right? And it was like, oh, it's just the Bichron theory. So betrayal theory. So like he didn't kill her because of that, like, because he had a plot going on with the leader or something, and so he couldn't kill her or whatever.
Yeah, no, but he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, we already discussed the problems with that. But anyway, now, so he never gets to, we don't know what he was going to say because Lauren at that point has opened her eyes and sees the vent behind him. And she's like, unless this is not the end. And Kieran, turns around and looks and she jumps up and is like, the vents, Kieran, the vents. We saw a couple of them on our way in. And she points, and as she's running, they connect between floors, especially in buildings like this one. And Kieran also like, suddenly they're energized and he's like, and you want to, and she's already halfway up the stairs. Yes, hurry, grab the bomb. And Kieran runs to get it. There's 4 minutes and 58 seconds left. Lauren kicks open the grate and Kieran's like, we have no idea where they lead. There may not be an exit. And she's like, and she pulls up her mask, which is interesting, right? Like she's putting her mask on. I think that's like a sign of hope because she's like, oh, maybe I'm going to get out and encounter the APD. I still have to be masked. So it's like, that's presence of mind where she's like, oh, I still have to disguise my identity. It's like, oh, okay. And he's like, we have to try. Anyway, even if we die, we have to get this bomb as far as possible from the rest of the nitro. Let's go. And she dashes into the vents and it's large enough where they could walk. They don't have to crawl. And they're running in and Kieran, hoists himself up. And 3 minutes and 49 seconds left. And we see they're just like proceeding through the vents. They're passing by this fan. We're down to 2 minutes and 36 seconds. She's pulling Kieran up. And, at this point, she has the bomb. And we're down to 1 minute and 24 seconds. So they've been running around the vents. So like they're obviously getting they're getting some distance away from the nitro. And we have, Lauren is she's clutching. She's ahead. She's clutching the bomb to her, looking again awful. And she huffs and she looks, there's 58 seconds left. And again, keeps running, bombs in there. And now we head outside and we see, the front Lloyd Glass Factory, which here it actually says 1975. Before that, it was always XX75. But we do see it's just probably a mistake, but yeah.
So
Wait, what happened? Wait, sorry.
we can see
No,
the year.
Wait, it
And
looks to
it's-
me like X970.
Yeah, it's X.
Yeah. But
And
we never get the first 2 digits, right? So
Yeah, before it was
No,
XX.
we've gotten the second digit before. Like if you look at the Sinclair's Graves, they have the second digit.
oh, they have like 8 or something.
I think it's 9.
Makes no
9.
sense, but I don't think so. I thought it was only the last 2 years.
It
Let me-
normally is,
let me
but
check.
it normally
Usually,
is
yeah.
the last 2 years, but I think it's showed up sometimes.
Yeah,
Mm.
because when they have to go like before, right? When they have to go years before, like XX
The
Oh.
century.
00, like they put the 9 there. I think. Let me pull up 85 while we continue.
So yeah, I mean, it really doesn't matter, but yeah, we're so obsessed with every detail here. We notice
We're
everything.
nitpicking.
And Kym is still being supported by a random dude and this guy behind him. And the lighting is just
It's
beautiful.
Even in the huge rush that Soph had for this episode, the lighting is still amazing. Like the backlit, you could see the light from the cars like reflecting off the water. It's just Soph manages to keep up such amazing lighting, even when she's, you know, in a huge hurry.
And like the mist, it's just luminous and beautiful. Gorgeous.
I have the episode.
Mhm.
So yeah. Okay. So Rachel, she was born in X982. So we have seen 9 as a second digit before.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Has this story been taking place in like 2024 or something?
No.
2027? Whatever year it is 24.
Well, let's just ignore it. Yeah. And anyway, so we have Will now waiting by the SWAT car, and as soon as he sees her, he runs towards her. I love it.
Run for her, William.
I just, oh my God, I will
He
never get
loves
over
her,
how
even
much
if he
I just,
doesn't know it.
this whole, like, you can see how worried they are about each other. Like the whole time, there's a bomb inside the building that they are right next to with a bunch of explosive in it, but they are constantly worrying with the other person. Makes me very happy.
I'm wondering though, like there's someone by the door of the SWAT car. Do you think like they were gonna get in and try to drive away, even though there's like 10 seconds left?
I mean,
They don't know, right? They don't know how
they
much
can
time
floor
is left.
it as well. Like, you know,
Well,
just
like
drive.
they say
Yeah,
like,
they don't. I mean, they don't know how much. They didn't know it was 10 minutes, right? They just knew soon.
oh, they
I
saw
think-
through the window.
I think they do. I think they do know how much time it is. I
Mhm.
can't.
I don't know
I feel
though,
like they.
'cause, like,
No.
I feel like they say it later in this episode.
Yeah,
I
they
just,
do.
Later,
say
but
it,
not
like-
at this point. No, they didn't know.
But how
'cause
would
they
they
never-
know
they
just
didn't
from like
tell them.
seeing them running? They're not going to be able to read that bomb as they're running. So I don't know.
Well, apparently they were able to read the bomb, but which is surprising. But anyway,
Mm.
I don't have that great eyesight, so I guess I can't see from that far. But yeah, Will running towards her, and and Kim's there looking, and he comes there, and then now we have this information. Someone says, "Wait, Chief," comes in on the radio. "I think I see something close to Hawks and Liddell's location." And Kim's looking. And then we see Tristan, and we hear 2 individuals just got out of a vent with a time bomb and only 7 seconds left. And Tristan's face. People, we can start discussing Tristan because, oh my God, he looks panicked. And do we think he knows that Loon is Lauren?
Yes. I was talking about this 2 weeks ago when we had 104.
Yes,
Like,
I know.
So what did you
I
guys
don't, like,
discuss?
I know people don't believe, like, okay, I know like some people are doubtful that he knows, but I'm like, personally, I'm like, how could he not know? Like, he has the murder board. Right? He sees the murder board with all of the suspicious evidence, like the photo. Like, he would be like, how the hell did she get this photo, right? Of the guy that she almost like, of the guy that she slammed into a mirror, right? And then another guy who, he suspected, who Tristan himself, like we know Tristan suspected that Abel might have murdered the Sinclairs, like from episode 64, when during the flashback at the funeral, he was like, do you think the driver like did it on purpose or whatever? And then Dogging gives that really sus response, but that's a thing for another time. But yeah, like, I mean, like, and then, she's not home whenever she's out on loon missions and stuff. So like, I think he would notice that, right?
He'd be a pretty bad chief of police if he didn't, honestly. I'll say that.
Yeah,
Another
like,
option. Oh, sorry, continue.
oh yeah, like how, oh sorry, Bundin, I'm just gonna say, like,
No, sorry.
how did he become chief of police but isn't able to notice all these like subtle things about like, his own niece? Like you would think that like he would have some sort of detective ability, right? As a police officer, whether he was a detective or not, police officers need to be able to kind of like understand these, like pick up on these things, right? While in situations. So I'm like, Tristan, my boy, you better know, like, I'm gonna have some problems with you if you don't. Like,
So I guess the alternative could be is that people can be blind when it's people that they're close to. Sometimes you miss something that's under your nose because they're family and your judgment is just biased. And so it's possible that's the only explanation for him not knowing.
I know, but he even does the like, what's your angle, Lauren? Like he is suspicious of her.
He knows something's up, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The other option, I think, they're like just in this moment, because I do genuinely think that he at least has some idea that it's her because he knows his niece and he's not stupid. But I think also you're hearing about two people like running with the bomb inside, and I think they don't know who it is yet, right? When at this panel, anyways. So it could be they like, what if it's someone who like got the bomb and is gonna like throw it at us or like throw it in another spot? Like could be that too. But one thing I noticed, like Tristan, obviously, like yeah, he's got the appropriate expression. He's like shocked, he's concerned. But Herman is just in the background, all salty and gross and being mean. And just like,
I didn't even realize that was Herman. That's Herman.
yeah,
I don't
Herman.
know, Bundin, because like I know Herman got a lot of slack lately, but like I think he had like kind of good intentions during this factory arc. Like I know he ordered the arrest, which was like very sus of him. And I don't think like, and then Kym carried it out. And I think that was just convenient writing. Like that's what I'm chalking it up to. Cause I'm like, I don't think logically any character would try to arrest someone in the middle of a bomb, in the middle of a factory that has a ton of nitroglycerin bombs that, could go off at any minute. Like that just,
No, but like
what I to get out. But like Herman at one point, like he says this, like he said that like, the priority is to retrieve William and Kym, right? Because their safety is important to him.
But yeah, no, I think what I was more getting to was just that like Tristan is still just very concerned, but Herman just kind of looks pissed off and just like where's your concern for like what's gonna happen with this bomb? Oh, but like maybe he has a feeling that it's Loon as well. And he's just like, let him blow up. I don't know. I mean,
they're probably where are they? I mean, I think Tristan is also concerned for all the people who are close to the factory.
That's what I mean.
I don't know where Tristan is right now, but I don't know if he's a little closer or further, but I'm sure he's also like, oh my God, how big is this bomb? And are my people gonna blow up? Am I gonna blow up? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's also in charge of a bunch of people.
I think he and Herman moved farther away because earlier they said how like he was only William left down there, right?
And, Group D and the bomb squad.
Oh, it's true.
There's people around, so he's probably concerned for them, like they're gonna blow up.
He's trying to kind of like coordinate an evacuation probably as well. So like he's he's in the area, but like within a perimeter, I suppose, like coordinating the police officers to like get people to exit as he should be. So that's good.
It's a lot of responsibility, by the way. Like just think about it emotionally, to be in charge of the whole police squad and know that all their lives are in your hand. I mean, that's a big deal.
Low key, because Bella and Darcy haven't shown up in a bit, Tristan might be my new favorite character, even though he's had like 2 panels this entire arc. Like I don't know, like I know like all the other characters have great character moments, but like Tristan,
I like Tristan a lot too.
Might be my new favorite character.
Nice. Yeah, I really want to see more of Tristan because, and I'm so curious. This what's his story? What's his story?
So
what's your angle?
There's so much to him, and I also want to see how him and Dakin met as well.
Yeah, I need backstory with them. I need backstory with them, Lauren's parents, or like the Snapdragon, all of that stuff. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be juicy.
I really hope that there's like a solid 10 episodes or something dedicated to watching the leaders like rise and fall or whatever, or like watching technically I guess the rise, fall, and then rise again, right, with Snapdragon and the PS. Like I want to see scenes, like actual scenes, like a whole arc dedicated to seeing how the PS came to be, right? Like because that would be really good storytelling in my opinion. Like would probably pass away if it happened from like all of the lore and all of the new like theorizing content I would get from it.
Yes.
But like
your brain would be overloaded.
Yeah, literally like cause of like on my grave, it's like cause of death. Like the leader in the PS backstory was simply too powerful. But yeah, that's like it's something I've wanted for like a year now. Like last year I had like a fake idea. It's like, oh, what if it was like the leader's rise to power? And then I was like, too lazy to write it. But yes. Come on, Steph and
Oh.
F, season 3 or season 4. Please.
Oh, we'll get it.
I'm
We'll get it.
begging.
God willing. Phew. So anyway, and then the person on the radio continues. It looks like Loon, and then we see Lauren and Kieran running. Kieran's ahead. We just see his cape, and we see them. Lauren is right now silhouetted in the window, and Kym is close enough. She looks at the building. We see that the clock now has 5 seconds left. Kym is looking, and then we see this amazing panel where they lock eyes. Lauren looks out the window, and Kym, and they see each other. And we have now everything goes white, and we just see Kym and Lauren looking at each other, and Kym and Lauren see, and they know. Oh my God.
I love this panel because it looks like Lauren is weightless. Like it's just them, like nothing else. And like amazing panel right there.
Also, this is the moment that song comes on at the end, and it's like one of those moments. I don't know, like how many of you watch this? Happens a lot in anime, but like, you know, that scene in a show where it's like the music is almost sort of overwhelming everything else. It kind of adds like a juxtaposition to like what's happening. So like a really good example of this is for all my people who've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, that final fight between Zuko and Azula, that music, and like the music almost overwhelms all the other sounds of like the battle and everything. And I got that same feeling reading this part from here, because when that music starts and it's just like this like serene but somber like singing voice, and it's just like deeply like emotional and just hits the spot perfectly, and you just begin to feel that dread just wash over you, like Kym seeing Lauren seeing Kym. It's just a lot.
This is one of the scenes that if Purple Hyacinth was ever a show, would never be able to be done as well. Like, it's such a, even though it's only them and white, it's such a beautiful panel because it just really highlights them. I love it.
Amazing. It's just amazing. Oh, and Kim's eyes widen, and you know, she's like, and then somebody says, wait, this was the wing where the Phantom Scythe was stationed with the nitro bottles, which, y'all, is for sure a lead-in to the tunnel, because that's why this is mentioned. Yeah, Kieran saw the tunnel over there.
Secret tunnel.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm confused because I thought because I didn't notice this before, and I was like, oh wait, is this what Bundin meant earlier about like how it's going to be seen as the other people by the others, right? Because by the public, because like, will the police think that they were intentionally trying to blow up the rest of the nitro, or like, because like this was the wing, right, where the Phantom Scythe station.
They only had a couple crates there. Remember, they had like 3 crates, and then where they were throwing roof stuff.
And they definitely know that the basement had a lot more crates.
Oh, that's what. Okay, I was confused.
It's where
They were talking about the basement, and I was like, wait, is like the basement right under them or something?
No, it's where those people were eating the bottles, so they didn't have as many there, but there's still a few. But it's kind of like Lauren and Kieran. Okay, they look as if they're running towards it like unknowingly. But obviously, we know that Kieran is leading them to where the tunnel is, because we've had time to process this episode, guys, and be like, wait, the tunnel, right?
Bundin, I didn't even realize that they were going to the tunnels, because I was like, wait, like, did tunnel theory actually happen? And I was like sad, because it's like, man, it didn't happen. But you're telling me it happened?
Hello.
What?
I was gonna save this for the end.
Why would they plant the tunnel in the earlier episode? Because they show Kieran dealing with the guys who are eating the bottles, and then he's like, oh, look at that, a tunnel. So they're running to
they put that in for a reason. They put that in for a reason, obviously.
I mean, yeah, I know they put it in for a reason, but I wasn't sure. Like, I was like, are they trying to like fool or something? But I don't know if you know this, but I've literally been on the theory that like, you know, something would blow up and they would fake their deaths and escape through the tunnel. I've been on that theory since April. Okay. And I literally like, the other day when I read it, I was like, oh damn, like someone's probably gonna come in and kidnap them or something. Like they're not making it to the tunnel. But you're telling me it happened?
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's what we're speculating, which let's say the speculation to the end, but like, yes.
So meanwhile,
it just makes sense, but we can get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, we're almost there.
I'm so glad you
we're
pointed that
closing
out.
up.
I didn't even notice that. Oh my God.
So
I
now
feel
we have
blind.
Kym looking, and there's 4 seconds, and her eyes are just like, and we have, you know, everything like the dramatism, like the way that it's illustrated, like the red letters are crossed, everything's getting blurred. Tristan's screaming, everybody stand back. There's 3 seconds left. Kym starts running towards the building, and Will runs after her. There's 2 seconds left. He's running after her, yelling. Tristan's yelling. There's 1 second left, and Kym is still running towards the building, and she screams, "No!" Oh my God! And there's like 1 millisecond
Hurts.
left.
Oh my God.
And
She
then-
knows at this point. She knows who it is. She's worried. I'm worried.
And Will knows, like Will knows just based on the reaction and everything, right? Will knows too. He's been in the know too, but he hasn't obviously had the same emotional roller coaster journey that Kym has had. But like, he sees Kym run, he's just like,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
I was saying this in like the VC the other day, but like, because we were talking about the episode, and Will, like, he himself hasn't really had that moment of confirmation, like that this is Lauren, like, you know, with Lauren, right? Because he's kind of been more on the sidelines with that whole drama between Kym and Lauren, right? You know, it was Kym who was like, Kym and Lauren, that was like the emotional bit, right? You know, in 103, right? And that's when Kym got her confirmation. Obviously, Will wasn't there, right? So like his suspicion of Lauren being Loon up to this point is still technically a suspicion because, you know, he hasn't gotten that confirmation. So like, but then I think him seeing seeing Kym run towards the building was the moment where he got that confirmation, where he was like, oh man, this is happening. And that's why he stops her, because he's like, you know, they can't reveal her identity.
But also, Kym can't run into a fireball, and
Yeah,
would
that
not be
too.
good.
And that's what happens. There's 1 millisecond left, and then we have the moment. There's boom, explosion right away. You know, reminds you of the ATST, and the orange, the fire, the debris, crash, kaboom, giant explosion. And it does seem like some nitro did go off because there's 2 booms. So,
Yes.
but I don't think all it does. It looks like they did accomplish the mission. Not the entire basement does not appear to have blown up, because if so, we know that the whole neighborhood would have been blown up.
They
You
saved
still see
lives.
a semblance of a building, so like you can see the window. So like the basement is probably fine.
Yeah, no, like I said, they've saved probably hundreds or thousands of lives just by running with that bomb. So, but I'll get into my thought on that. So that's the same thought that I've pinned. I will unpin it when we get to the end.
Okay. And Kym is just looking at that with just, that's the moment of like, kind of like the expression is wiped off of her face. It's just shock looking at it. And we see again, the classic like purple hyacinth motif with fire reflected in the character's eyes. And she says, "Law." And then Will stifles her. He shoves his hand over her mouth because, yeah, presence of mind. Will, I have to say, Will keeps his mind with him. And he's like, his friend, childhood friend, also probably just got blown up, and he's still protecting her identity. The Will is a cool character in terms of like cool temperament. Gotta really hand it to him. I am so impressed with Will and his ability to keep his emotions in check when he has to.
So just like the quick thinking, because I think as soon as he heard her begin to say, "La," he's like, nope, like, not even like giving it a second thought, because he can keep his composure about everything else. But then like, if you look at the next panel, well, we'll get to that again. But,
yeah, he's obviously, I mean, I think like, I don't think he can always keep his composure, right? Like, I think he's just better at like having a better idea of the priorities of the moment, right? Like what needs to get done and stuff. So like, and he has a better idea of like, you know, the stakes of what could happen and the risks of what's happening. So like him blocking off Kym, right? Because he knows that like, you know, if she revealed her if she revealed Lynn's identity, then it would probably be very bad. And I mean, he's not happy about it, obviously, as we see. He's like, in one of the next panels, he looks like he's like about to cry himself. He looks like horrified, but like, yeah.
Yeah, I admire Will a lot. You know, there's many things about Will that kind of annoy me, if I'll be honest, like the fact that he can't stand up to his parents, his dad. But you know, there's room for different personalities, and it's interesting to see. And it's just, this is one of the best parts of his personality. It kind of goes along with the rest of it. You know, he's maybe too much in control of his emotions, right? He doesn't express his emotions enough, but this is the good part, the good side of that, right? Every characteristic has a good side and a bad side. And the fact that he can be emotionless and can have his brain first is good in this situation. So he, you know, grabs her, and Kym is trying to get away. She elbows him, she kicks him, you know, on the foot. She's trying to get away, but he just is like not letting go. You can just feel how hard he's grabbing her. And he says, "You can't." And like, oh, beautiful expression on his face here, where it's like his hair is all tousled. Usually his hair is beautiful. And he looks also like he's upset.
This
But
entire
he knows what he has to do.
this panel with the two of them is just one of the most like emotional ones, I would say. It's like we've never seen either of them. I mean, Will arguably had a really big emotional thing at the end of the circus arc when he met his brother again. And that's kind of like the only other time we've seen him really like let go of his emotions. So like seeing this again just shows the depth of like what he's feeling as well. And then Kym is just completely horrified. Her look kind of reminds me of young Lauren at the train station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just haunting.
I think it's a parallel actually, because you can see like, you know, the crying, right? And the tears are falling down on us. It's a direct parallel to Lauren when she was crying over Dylan, right?
Ooh,
Right. They're both having their best friend blow up in front of them.
Also,
by the PS.
Something I noticed as well, good thing it's raining, it'll out the fire a lot quicker and probably save even more people. Just realized that looking at these panels.
Nice.
So
yeah, true. And yeah, the fire, so we see the building burning, the rain falling, and he says, "You can't." And she's just looking, she's devastated. And she just falls to her knees, splashes in the puddle on the ground. And the next panel is just her face. Oh, she is crushed. She's just, this is her thinking her best friend just died. I mean,
sorry, this is the panel I was referring to.
I think that this is my favorite Kym panel ever. You can just see so much. There's so much emotion and just it's such, even though, you know, she's in so much pain, she's like, it's just such a beautiful panel.
And the way that she has her hand on Will's hand, who like Will is still covering her face, but you know, I would assume that like she's pulling at his hand, right? Because she wants to scream and wail and just cry, right? But you know, Will can't let her do that right now.
Yeah, it would look a little weird if it's an unusual reaction, you know, like, yeah, like, okay, like, I guess theoretically you could be upset about the loss of any human life, but like, this is obviously a very, very personal reaction. And I would agree that it's suspicious for, you know, for Kym to be reacting that way.
Yes. The pin is there still. I'm gonna get to it.
And then there's this beautiful panel that like zooms out and you just see Will and Kym alone on the floor and like hunched over. And, you know, Kym has fallen down, and you see now that Will has fallen down with her. Will is with her in her pain. And his being, you know, his arm around her is not just restraining her at this point, but now it's turned to comforting as well, and to being together with her in her pain.
You know what I just realized in this panel? Because it's raining and the ground is wet, you can see the reflection of the moon.
I was about to mention that.
Yeah. And it's a full moon. It's a full moon. Like,
I don't care if Sophie and Neff always say nothing is symbolic. This has to be symbolic.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, we're just taking a moment to let this sink in. And then we have this image of like fire. And then we have their two weapons, Lauren and Kieran's weapon. We have their knife and the pistol on the floor. And it's reminiscent of Dylan's hat on the floor. And it's like the same thing. Are they dead? Are they alive? Are they missing? It's just shows that they are incapacitated for sure. Their symbol of themselves, of their autonomy, of their agency, of their capability to do anything, it's gone. It's on the floor. It's defeated. So we don't think they're dead because they're the main characters of the story. But but it would be anyone discovering this stuff. It's meant to make you think that they're dead.
It's like a token of them. It's all that's left of them, basically, because explosions. But yeah, so that's the one thing I wonder, right? I think this is a good time to unpin the pin. So like, well, actually, no, we'll unpin it at the end because that feels like more of an ending question. Sorry, I really want to unpin this pin, but not now.
I have a lot of thoughts about the sex scene. Oh, sorry, Bundin. I did not mean to cut you off.
You're good. No, I'm done.
I have a lot of thoughts about what's about to happen. So I really want to I'm very excited.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just finish the last panels and then we'll do all our discussion. So we have, it looks like it's coming through the perspective of somebody lying on the ground. Their eyes are like barely open and we see is a ton of fire and it's kind of hazy. And then we see someone's hand in front of them, right? So it's like a person lying down on the floor. And then we see it's blurry and we see these two legs coming. And then it gets a little sharper and the legs are coming closer. They're walking and they're in front of this person. And then we see it's baby Dylan, right? Still in the same outfit that he was in the ATST. And we hear a voice saying Ren. And Dylan is leaning down to her and presumably Lauren. And the voice says, "Where are you going?" And then we have the vision gets blurry again. The eye hole gets smaller. And then we have black.
Okay. My first thought, first of all, actually, my first thought, scrolling down and I saw it was like, love you too. And then see you in season 3. I was like, oh shit. We're not going to find out what happens in the next, next week. Okay. But basically, my first thought when I saw this was first, I didn't realize that it wasn't a flashback, but then so I thought I was like, oh, this actually happened. But, I still think this actually happened because if you look at Dylan, you'll notice that his shirt is torn. And that is not a memory that Lauren has seemingly had, right?
I mean, you can see all his whole clothes are dirty. He's messed up.
Yeah. So if Lauren is hallucinating, completely hallucinating this from her imagination, why would she have his shirt torn? In all of her previous hallucinations of him or just visions of him, right? In her dreams or while she was unconscious in season 1, his clothes have been intact. But here he looks a little grimy. So and a little torn himself. So is his shirt torn or is it just a tank top? I can't tell. I'm gonna say the shirt is torn.
It's a tank top.
It's a bit strange, right? It's like a wife beater.
No, but in the close-up panel of him, it looks torn.
It's torn also, yeah.
But in the one that's far away, it looks like it's fine,
So I'm
strange. But also in the one where he's walking towards her, you can see the hand. Well, wait, it's Lauren, right? We see her hand with her ripped glove, kind of blurry in the foreground.
Yeah,
that kind of
so
says that's
we know
her,
it's the
vision.
present.
It's it's her envisioning something, right?
Yeah, so I'm thinking if Lauren is hallucinating this right now, why would she have him with a torn shirt unless this is something that did happen in her memory, right? Something very similar that this explosion triggered, right? And that's why she's seeing him with a torn shirt, because she did actually see him with a torn shirt in a very explosive and burning situation in the Allendale train station. So and we know that someone pulled her out of the wreckage of Allendale, but we never do, but we haven't found out who. So I'm what if Dylan actually did get kidnapped, right? He was one of the car kids and there was a struggle, right? That's how we got his shirt torn. But when he saw that Allendale blew up, he was like, oh shoot, I have to find Lauren. And so, whoever was trying to kidnap him, and he was putting up some sort of fight, he was like, okay, I'll go with you peacefully, right? Just let me save Lauren, or just let me make sure that she's okay, right? And I don't know if that's just like my childhood love for Tangled coming up right now, like where Rapunzel does that thing with Mother Gothel where she's like, just let me save him and then I'll just go with you peacefully. And like, but like, what if that did happen? Like Dylan made a deal with Sake, who they're trying to kidnap him, and like, if it was Abel, right? He was like, he tells Abel, like, please let me make sure that she's okay, because Abel knows who she is, and he wants her to be okay because he has a daughter of his own, right? So like Abel lets him make sure that she's okay, and Dylan, being a kid of his word, like he goes back to them and he doesn't put up a fight, but that's why his shirt is torn. So Lauren actually did see this, right? She just forgot about it because of the trauma.
But
And he was the one who pulled her out.
Wasn't Lauren like far away from the explosion though? Because the whole thing was that she was like sitting on the corner, like a few blocks over, waiting for him to come back to like help her out.
But
with
she
her
like
foot.
Well,
ran
she
over
was,
and
but she
found his
went. She
hat.
ran in.
When she went in,
Yeah.
but like she saw the explosion kind of happen, but she's still like on her feet because remember that panel of her like slowly
Yeah.
walking towards.
I mean, she is, but like F did say that someone pulled her out of there. We just don't know who, and that is supposed to be a mystery.
I mean, I don't
I don't
think
know.
that Lauren would just walk out, especially after, seeing that. She would probably, knowing her, would probably spend, if she could, just sit there and digging it to find her
But
friend.
don't we
think that
see that
someone
with
would
her
have had to pull her out.
parents? Like her parents find her in the rubble and like pick her up, right? In one of the
Yeah.
flashbacks, right? So I always just assumed like she walked back to the thing, found his hat, was like crying, just kind of fell on the floor holding the hat, crying, and she just kind of stayed there, like not being able to move until her parents found her. And we can see that it's been some time because it was like dark. It begins to rain, obviously, because of course it begins to rain after the explosion. But like, yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I always just assumed that she didn't really get hit by the explosion. She wasn't really injured. The only injury she had was her leg as well, which also maybe that's part of why she couldn't walk. She began to like run on that injured leg, and then that kind of messed up her stuff. Who knows? But
yeah. She wasn't part of the explosion, but she did go into the wreckage.
Yeah, she did.
And someone apparently did pull her out. So
I don't know.
Yeah,
I like to think that I like to think that it was someone else who pulled her out, and then her parents found her later on, because they don't seem to really be like present during the Allendale stuff, because she was with Mr. Rosenthal. So like, I don't know how long it would have taken them to get there, right? So someone at the scene.
My interpretation of this was more of I kind of hate this is my interpretation because it felt really corny, but like edge of death kind of thing, where you going like it's like oh, you're gonna finally come with me because she thinks he's dead. Is he dead? We don't know. But then she like begins to leave, like almost leave him. She's like, and he's like, where are you going? Almost. I kind of got that as feeling like the implications that she's not going to die. She's being saved, so she will be saved by something, or is in the process of being saved by something. My assumption is that either Kieran, like I'm pretty sure it's Kieran, he got less affected by the bomb somehow. I mean, she's still alive, so they didn't get like that injured, but he's probably maybe dragging her through the tunnel. Or I have an idea that Kieran has like an ally in the tunnel, or like maybe it's Abel Sandman. Who knows?
Yes.
It could be
You know why
Abel
I think it's
Sandman.
Sandman? Because he calls her Ren. I think that Sandman is actually talking, and Lauren is hallucinating and thinking that it's Dylan. But the only other person who calls her Ren is Sandman.
Yeah, I was thinking like it could be Sandman, right? Because he knows that she would be at that factory, right? Like if he finds out, however, through the line or something, he has his ways that Loon's at the factory, he might have gone there himself to investigate, because he's like, oh, this might not go well, I'm gonna go over and supervise, because like we do know that he has followed her before, right? And so I low-key think that like Dylan approaching her like is something that she's seeing like out of her own vision, right? It's not actually him, but I think the sensation like in her mind it's being and like someone leaning down and her kind of making out that form, right? It's her translating it in her brain to being Dylan. But we know that Sandman and Dylan like do kind of look similar.
Right. They have the same
because,
coloring.
You know, for like more than a year, or like, I don't know, about a year, a lot of us were like, the photographer is totally Dylan. And then it wasn't Dylan. So like they do like, you know, if you blur your vision enough, then they look the same. And
Yeah,
we know
like,
Lauren's vision is very blurred.
they've established that well. See, that's the thing. They're like establishing a motif, and like so to justify decisions, it works. Like, of course she'd be hallucinating now. She just lost a lot of blood and almost got blown up. Like, so yeah, I think Sandman is probably gonna get them both into the tunnels somehow.
And then also has the hat too.
Mm.
Yeah, so I was thinking like Sandman helps them.
Another idea.
But
Someone else that's called Lauren Wren before is, I mean, one, her parents, but also Dylan's dad.
Oh yeah, that's Mr. Rosenthal.
Oh
I mean,
shit.
Boy.
I suspect him of being the leader because,
Yes.
or an apostle up there somehow. It just makes sense. Oh, the timing. I could go into this for a while, but like,
Oh my god, that's so true. Like imagine like, you know, the next season, right? She wakes up and someone's talking and she doesn't and the voice is like really familiar, but she can't put her finger on it. And then like at the end of the episode, right, we get the reveal and it's Mr. Rosenthal.
I mean, it would make so much sense. Like, we never, you know, it hasn't been shown that he's an important character at all, right? He's just there to deliver flowers. But delivering flowers, the place to hide a bomb under them. Like, they're not going to check every single thing of flowers they bring in.
Mm-hmm.
And like, especially if you're, especially if he's like the leader. Sorry, I thought you were done. In the leader, right? You know, I'm just saying.
They're friends.
If
right?
Kieran was saying that like he had something to do, if he had like some deal with the leader or whatever, like, you know, that's what he was going to tell her. Like, you know, I did this thing with the leader, you know, bitcher in theory. And so like I've kind of been deceiving you the whole time about that. So, and you know, the leader himself is probably aware of this factory, right? So like, you know, the leader could have sent someone to retrieve them.
Yeah, I'm like, I think my main thing, I've lost my thought. I hate my ADD brain, but the whole thing with them being pulled into the tunnels, right? Because then it's like, are they now considered like captured by the Phantom Scythe? Because on the one hand, it'd be like, already, they're gonna get their identities blown already, but then on the other hand, it's like, so we have this explosion, Loon is missing, probably. They're not gonna find Lauren and Kieran in the wreckage. They're not gonna be there because we know about the tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then also Tristan's gonna notice that his niece is not home, and then her and her boyfriend are not in work. I mean, I know we know that only Kym and Will know that Lauren was Kieran. They can do math. They're smart. They'll figure it out probably that Kieran was the other one helping them. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I'm just wondering, like, Lauren and Kieran are just not going to be, I can't see Lauren and Kieran being immediately back into their old lives again. They're going to be on, like, not around for a bit. And I'm just trying to figure out what's that going to imply. Because the police are either going to think that Luna's dead and they got just blown up, which, you know, valid. They've seen people get blown up before. Because if Luna's dead, like all that stuff, then the Phantom Scythe might also think Luna's dead as well. And then that can, like, they don't need to go and find a bunch of dead bodies anymore to cover their tracks, which would be nice. But they're also, like, if they're in the tunnels, they're in Phantom Scythe stuff. So they need to recover. They need to find someone to patch them up. Lauren has lost a lot of blood. She might need a transfusion. You never know. She needs medical treatment.
Doctor friend.
Yeah, the doctor friend. Yeah, that's what I figured. But I thought the doctor friend worked for the Phantom Scythe, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they need to get all of this done. So I'm trying to figure out how they're going to do that. Maybe that's why Abel is going to help them, like with his connections and stuff that he has within the organization, or other people who want to defect, or I don't know, something along those lines. That's the only thing I can really see happening at this point, because Lauren's not gonna be able to explain a gunshot wound to her arm. Like something needs to happen. But it's like I feel like this is gonna out her involvement in terms of like Tristan, Kym, Will, and everybody's having like 100% confirmation. And then the police
Yeah,
might think,
wait. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
we all
sorry.
have our.
Yeah. Mindy, do you want to go first or should I?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. I don't mind.
Okay.
So I think Will and Kym are going to try to cover for Loon because they know that Lauren made up this excuse about them dating. So I think they will be able to figure out first that Kieran is probably the other half, and the fact that they've continually covered up, like, oh, we don't know Loon's identity, we don't know Loon's identity, and throughout this whole arc, their identity has not been revealed. That makes me think that they're going to still try to cover up for Lauren and Kieran, and not allow them to be known as Loon. So I don't know how they're going to manage it. Like I wrote on Discord, maybe they're going to fake a note that they eloped, which is like a little ridiculous.
If only.
Hawaii, but like probably not. But I think they're going to try to do that. I don't think their identities will be revealed to the APD yet.
I was thinking, as Bundin was saying, this is something I've just been thinking about, like for like the last however long this episode's been out, 2 days. Like it's been in my mind. I fully believe that someone is going to pick them up. If not both of them, then Lauren. Lauren is getting taken to a second location, which is not good. Like John Mulaney taught me one thing, and it's a second location for not good.
I mean, like I can just imagine Lauren being captured by the Phantom Scythe.
Yeah. So like,
and that's how we could learn about more about Kieran, possibly even more about the person who's trying to protect, like through their. And I'm not saying that I want it to happen. By all means, I don't want it to happen. But also, like it unlocks the potential for Lauren figuring out so much information through this.
Yeah. So I was gonna say that like I have 3 suspects for who's gonna pick out Lauren and maybe Kieran. In this, like it's either Sandman, as we were saying, a messenger, not the messenger we saw earlier, but a messenger.
So Will's
or
the third one is going to be somewhere.
Or Belladonna.
I was thinking Bella.
Yeah.
Too. Not gonna lie.
Those are my like
yes
3.5 suspects, because the messenger could go either way. Like if it's a messenger working for the leader or the messenger working for the apostle. If it's Bella or the messenger, then I can see them only taking Lauren because, Lauren is the one who's going to put up less of a fight. She's injured, right? She's bleeding out. Like, what's she going to do? Faint? Like, so like, if they can only take one, right? Because if they come as one person, they can probably only carry one person too. So like, they're only going to take one person, and it's probably going to be Lauren because she's the weaker one. So like, they take her, right? And then wherever they take her to, they're going to give her medical attention, right? Sandman, probably, I would guess Sandman, like from his time working with the PS, has like some medical knowledge. So I've had this theory for a little bit by now, but like Lauren gets picked up by the PS, and now maybe Sandman. And then Kieran is left behind for the APD to find, right? So they don't have to worry about covering for Kieran. Right? They only have to worry about covering for Lauren. And so that gives Lauren time to learn more about the Phantom Scythe, as well as the audience, right? We spend more time with the inner workings of it, right? This is with Messenger Bella. And then Kieran gets to develop as a character away from Lauren, right? With Kym and Will, as they worked together to try and get Lauren back.
I don't want to entertain the idea of them being separated because they just shared this like really deeply emotional moment. I would like for them to try to work through it together, but like they probably could get separated, and that would be a plot.
Think of the reunion.
I know.
I don't want. No, I'm with Bundin. I want them to be together forever.
But the idea of Bella picking them up, like I don't think that she needs a redemption arc, but it would be such a great time to get more people on her side, because I've seen people like disliking her for, you know, doing, like, I've seen a lot of people disliking her, which, and honestly, she's one of my favorite characters in Purple Hyacinth and in like almost any media that I've consumed. I know that she's got such a complex character and I love it. And I really hope that there's more chances for people to like for her to grow on people a bit more. I don't think that she necessarily needs redemption because I don't like she's probably considered a villain. I don't think that every villain needs a redemption arc, but I think that just getting the chance to get to know her more would be amazing.
It would be good. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I like the idea of Belladonna having her own agenda that runs parallel. I love like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like that type of dynamic is great, and that leads to a lot of like you can still build up emotions, but at the end of the day, like she still has her goal to like not be in her situation anymore. So that would be a really fun thing to see. I agree, but I don't want them to be separated. I don't want Lauren to be captured. I want them to be free. And like I don't know. There's so many possibilities that we're going to have to sit with for 4 months or more. Or I don't know. I'm saying 4 months just because to like scale it in my brain. But
yeah.
So somebody
wait, I was
there were
gonna say. Sorry, Bindi, you can go.
Okay, so there are people saying on Discord that they hope that this event will inspire Bella to finally like take action. And I do think that's actually quite reasonable for the combination of Nera showing up in her life and this happening to Kieran. And I think it definitely would be a prompt for her to do something, you know, to say, okay, I'm throwing my lot in with you guys. I'm going to help you and whatever. And then also someone was saying that they think this might be a catalyst for Will to finally stand up against his father. And I can see that happening as well, because, you know, Will's the straight-laced guy, right? Will was like, oh, I'll turn Loon in. But if Will and Kym decide to cover up for Lauren and you know, not betray their friend, I think that would be this would be a sufficient reason for him to start really, you know, saying, okay, maybe I don't want to go along with what my dad wants for my life. And, you know, that would be great to see.
So many possibilities.
Yeah, I was, you know, earlier how I said, like, I could see the leader sending someone to pick Loon up, right? Because, you know, the leader is aware that Elvira Lloyd is working with A7. So, you know, like, if they hear that, like, the police are showing up at her factory, he's gonna be like, oh, so that's where A7 has been keeping the nitro that he stole from me. Like, so, you know, he either sends one of his messengers, right, or he sends Bella. And I think, you know, I would think that he would maybe send Bella. We have seen that messengers could be on the field, and I think, like, you know, if one of his messengers like picks up Lauren and then she wakes up later and then she like panics because, you know, there's a messenger treating her wounds, and it was like, you know, she can't tell the difference between messengers. Like, you know, last time she remembered there was a messenger who just threw Kym off a roof, and she might think it's like, you know, the same messenger. So that's how I would see that scenario turning out. And then something I like realized earlier was like, what if that messenger is Dylan? Like, not the A7 messenger, not messenger 7, because
the right-hand man messenger.
Like, sorry?
The right-hand man messenger that we saw planning to beat this shit out of Kieran.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe not that messenger. We know there are several, but like that is the next most relevant messenger. So I'm like, you know, if it's the messenger, if it's like, you know, if it's the messenger picking her up, right? And they're saying like, Ren, where are you going? Like, that's actually happening in real time. However, like, it's also Dylan saying that to her in real time. Like, I'm not big on the like Dylan is alive.
Yeah,
here, like,
I'm like, what?
dead. I'm like, whatever happens. But now I'm like, what if?
I recall distinctly you bashing the Dylan is alive theory, but that was a long time ago. So I've come around on that too, because I was like, nah, he's not alive. And now I'm like, also like, who knows?
I mean,
like Lauren and Kieran shouldn't, like, logistically, they probably shouldn't have survived the explosion, but they totally did. So I'm like, anything could happen at this point.
But Alma's strong, man.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll try to explain that somehow. Like we don't see what happens with the bomb. They could have yeeted the bomb and like gone the other way. Like we don't know. We haven't seen, which is the great thing with like visual storytelling. We only see it from the perspective of Kym out from the outside. We don't know what happened inside. So
I kind of
anything-
assumed that they ducked into the tunnel and it gave them some protection from the bomb. I
Mhm.
thought they had 5 seconds left, threw the bomb, dashed into the tunnel.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I assumed. Maybe even managed to close the
The
door.
bomb didn't look like a huge one. It didn't look like a very, it didn't look like an actual, like, I think that most of that explosion that happened was like stray bottles of nitro catching. I don't think that it was actually the explosion. I mean, they said it was a time bomb. I don't think that it's actually that big. Like, if they were able to throw it and have a few seconds to run, I think that they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, possibly unconscious. Like, one of my favorite theories is Deaf Lauren.
Oh, that would be really
Oh.
interesting.
It would
to
be interesting.
see.
I can talk about it
Interesting.
with some people, but like Deaf Lauren would be interesting, and just I think that they won't die from it. But I feel like, they're probably gonna get bruised up. It'll probably knock them unconscious, but overall I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
One
they're
thing
main characters, so
Yeah. One thing I've been thinking of, because I can't get this idea of them being separated now out of my brain. If Kieran gets like taken in or whatever, and like Kym and Will like cover it up for him, right? Because his injuries are more like like bodily things. He just take a couple days off and then he'll be like, I'm good, right? Like whatever. Because we can see that he can carry himself a lot better even when he's in extreme pain. But does that mean that he will key Kym and Will into his identity? Because like think about it, right? So like if they find him, they'll be like, oh, yo, Kieran, how are you so proficient with like knives and guns and you can do all of these things, right? And then Kieran might just be straight up like, okay, listen, I have a
I
fun
don't know.
story to tell. I don't like, because they don't have Lauren to like see if he's lying or not, but also they're trained officers, but like we know Kieran can lie like very easily. So I don't know. It's a possibility now because we know they're gonna find out eventually, but when do they build up a
Yeah.
relationship with
Yeah.
him and then they find out it's like
Yeah.
betrayal?
Yeah, I
but
think it's more
also-
later.
I think they'll be like suspicious of him, but like they'll be like, okay, if Kieran is alone, how is he so good with all of these things, even though he's like an archivist and
Mhm.
an English major or whatever he was doing, right?
Maybe he'll just say that
So,
he
like-
was in the Phantom Scythe or something.
I don't
but
think he'll tell them. Like, I think
Yeah.
they'll like keep it more to themselves. Like, he kind of sus, but like they won't push on it, right? Because they're like,
Mhm.
this guy's loon. He saved our lives back there. Okay, well,
yeah, no, like
we
that's
can
the thing.
find out another time. Like,
Mhm.
whatever's Kieran's dark, mysterious past, it's something for another time.
Yeah.
He saved our lives. He's not a threat to us.
I also think story-wise that the purple hyacinth reveal, I think that's a very emotionally impactful thing, and I think it will be saved for later when it actually has an emotional impact. I think now is not the
Yeah.
time like to have that particular drama play out.
This
Loki kind of. Oh, sorry. Let me
you go.
continue.
Okay. I was just gonna say like this kind of sucks because with season one's finale, like the type of finale it was, you can figure out at least in the short term exactly what would happen, right? It's like the fandom basically predicted all of episode 50, like in the months leading up to it, right? This one is gonna be so much worse because there's endless possibilities and there's not gonna be a consensus really. We can't just like character our way out of like figuring it out, right? It's gonna be a
Mhm.
long, it's just gonna be, we are gonna have
Torturous.
theories that some of them are gonna be right maybe, but it's like we literally can't get any inkling until we see it, and that's gonna be torture.
I totally want to make a
Just
spreadsheet of like potential outcomes and then do like a checklist. How many of them
Yo,
came
I
true?
would help you with
Oh,
that. Like
yeah.
I need
So,
to
let's
brush
do it.
up my Excel skills.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Solis and I, she's been on this podcast a few times.
Mhm.
We're planning a few like finale events and like hiatus events, to get us through the hiatus. One of them will probably be the revamping of the PH season 2 theories doc. It was this massive doc, like 145 pages. That was like a giant collab that people did. And so like we're gonna make one of those, but for season 3, and like anyone can, anyone who wants to can edit it.
Oh, I'll talk to
So
you
we'll
off the
get
podcast
all our
about that.
theories for season 3 in there.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Phew.
on the belladonna theory, again, I think I want to say this earlier, but again, I think like it's a good time for her to get that character development. And I think just, because we'll be able to see the lies between like that she tells Lauren. And I think I want them to have development together and to have scenes together away from Kieran, because like we've seen that Kieran is like a very important person in like both of their lives, right? Kieran's an old friend in quotations of Bella, right? And
Ooh.
so like I'm wondering, like I've been saying this for a while, but like Bella isn't really like, the first choice of people. Like often they're only using her for something, right? And so I'm like, what if that pattern extends to Kieran? So like would Bella be jealous of Lauren? Like, because that would be a twist on like, the love rival trope, right? Where there's like two people both competing for one guy, but like that wouldn't be the case. It would more be that like, Kieran is growing on Lauren, right? And he has a genuine friendship with Lauren, which is something that Bella wanted, but because of the PS, right, pitting them against one another, they've both just antagonized each other to the point where they should have been able to sympathize for one another and have compassion for the other, but now they don't. And so I'm like, would Bella be jealous about that?
Another layer to that, because I know we're beginning to run out of time, is that like Lauren can now learn more about Kieran through someone who knew him back in the day. So we get more backstory about Kieran through Bella, but then Kieran, like by himself, can kind of form more of his own relationships. So that would be that could be nice, but also I don't want it in a way. I don't want them to be separated, but also but we don't know. I don't want to invest in one theory because it's endless possibilities, and I don't want to set myself up to be disappointed in whatever it happens to be, right? So whatever like they've planned it to the end, I know. So I know that in the end, like every decision will make sense. I have faith in that. So I'm just gonna have fun theorizing, but not like hop on one train and like die on that hill, So we're gonna.
I low-key want to see. I kind of want to see like Lucky. I want to see their like faith tested in one another. Like I don't know what like Kieran how like he would lose faith in Lauren, but like if Lauren finds out about Hanbury or something, like is there going to be something that makes Lauren lose faith in Kieran again? Or like I want to see it tested, right, to be like, can she still trust him even after having this information? Also, like Hanbury hasn't been mentioned for like the entire season, and it makes me kind of sad. Like what happened at Hanbury? The Hanbury massacre. But yeah, those are my very scattered thoughts on what could happen next.
Well, guys, it's been like 2.5 hours. And if you guys see, the sun is already quite up.
I was looking at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I
so
was thinking
like-
like it's gonna be like really funny. Like if you condense this podcast, right? Like the film, like into like, I don't know, like a minute, and you just like see the sun rise behind you.
Yep,
I will
almost 6
say
a.m.
this is definitely the longest episode I've ever been on by far. I don't know if this is the longest episode that you guys have recorded though, but I will say that this is probably one of my favorite episodes I've recorded with any of the episodes I've done. I think that we had a lot of great discussions, and I really love bouncing things off of you guys because I think this episode was just really, really good. And
I know this is there's so much information in this episode, and just there are so many things that we can, spiral off into because of what we think could have happened,
And just even speaking of these things out loud, you realize things you didn't even think about, like it's like, just great, like Fwoot with the tunnels. You didn't
I was gonna say I didn't even realize it, and I probably wouldn't have even realized it on my like reread until you pointed it out, and I was like, man.
Because I know nothing about the tunnels, right? Not only did I not fast pass, but I haven't been really as involved now because of my schoolwork. So it's just like me being like, oh, they put the tunnels, that's how they're gonna get out. Nice. And like the whole thing. It's just
and I was like, oh my god, I was freaking out. Like if you didn't point it out, I probably wouldn't have noticed it for like months. And then like Bitchman theory. I like the other day I was really thinking like, man, I think it was actually earlier today. I was like, man, I can't wait, like, whenever season 3 is done and people are gonna be like, or like, you know, like in a day from now, people are gonna be like, do you really think Kieran's gonna betray her or has betrayed her, like after, you know, that moment that they had in the factory? And I'm like, yeah, goodbye to that theory. Like, I'm putting it to rest once and for all. But then Mindy brought up the whole like, what if like he did something before they met and it affects her? And was like, oh damn. Y'all are
It's
really
turning
reviving
even
the
Mindy
theories I
onto
thought were
this.
dead.
And that reminds me. So speaking of the tarot cards, right? Because the betrayal theory comes from the tarot cards. I don't remember who it was, but it talks about, I think I screenshotted it, the tarot, the whole thing with the tarot and the death card, where, you know, she goes, Hecate says, you know, oh, you'll die, you know, there'll be death, but it'll also be, you know, a new beginning and a rebirth. So this, I think, really does describe that moment, because everyone thinks that they're dead, and it allows them to have a new beginning. First of all, obviously with the relationship, and but also with
Ooh.
like they're faking their death as Loon, getting out of that dilemma. Although, by the way, I don't know what's going to happen with Kieran and the Phantom Sights, because if he doesn't show up for duty, they're like, dude, what happened to you? Like, are you know, are you Loon? So
The
I'm curious about,
possibilities.
I think I don't know. I think Lauren is gonna get taken to the second location, but I don't think Kieran is. I think he's getting left behind. Like, I don't know. I think personally, I think it's better for his character because, you know, now that he's on that relationship with Lauren, it's on to Kym and Will and, you know, Lucas and Lila. Because again, like he said, he doesn't feel like he belongs here. And so that's, you know, it's part of his character arc, like, you know, having more friends. And so it's not just trauma all the time, but for Lauren, it is trauma all the time.
This has been great. I love this. Can't wait for season 3, and I can't wait to record more. I know I'm signed up to record a bunch more for season 2. I'm looking forward to those, but I feel like this has been a great episode to do, guys.
No, there's so much. This is
yeah.
a new favorite of mine. There's just so much in here.
I don't know. I haven't seen many people like I don't think I've seen anyone talk about this, but like at the like Love You Too panel, Soph of course is drinking her reader's tears,
Yes.
but Ev is drinking the main character's blood.
Well, Lauren is bleeding all over the place. So
Yeah, I mean like damn. And she's handing down the toilet paper, which is a callback to last year. You know,
Everyone
last
hanging
year's
off the
finale.
cliff.
they've left us on the cliff.
She's a med student. It makes sense.
Yeah. Also, before we go, I would like to say the author's note, which I love personally. It's like, oi,
The Among
Loon
Us
just got out of
jokes.
event. They sus. It's just the Among Us reference is so
I thought
good.
that we were over the air
Loon
of
are the
Among Us jokes, but
imposters.
I thought we were over the air of Among Us jokes, and I was entirely wrong.
And like today,
Wow.
like oh my god, today we announced like the the second PH week.
Mhm.
And like, you know, there's a video game day, like that's one of the prompts. And now I'm like, is someone like who fast passes? Because I don't think this episode's gonna be out by then. Like, is someone who fast passes gonna make like a Loki Among Us thing, like and then call it like out of context fast pass spoilers?
You might want to put that behind a spoiler thing. But actually, no.
Yeah.
If they're participating in an event, they shouldn't put spoiler stuff. But that's the mod in me talking. But yeah.
Bundin always on
Well.
the mod grind.
And you guys, this was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. It was fantastic. So
I
satisfying.
had so
Beautiful
much
episode.
fun.
And yeah, and great, amazing discussion as always.
Thank you for
And,
having me
yeah.
come last minute. This was not planned for me to be here, so I really appreciate that you reached out and asked me to come here.
Yeah, I mean, I know you never fast pass, so I'm quite happy to take opportunity of, you know, take advantage of the time that you do.
I dibs being in season 3, episode 1. I'm gonna say that now on the record. I would have been in
yeah,
that
you can come
because
on.
I'm not gonna be able to do the fast passes from then on. Who knows, maybe.
Okay,
but
I'll add you to the spreadsheet now.
Mindy, like, okay, I know like this isn't the last podcast that we're ever gonna record, right? Because like, you know, we still have to like catch up on season 3.
Mhm.
So not season 3, season 2, and then, you know, there's gonna be like the season 3, maybe season 4 stuff. But like, thank you for letting me always be in like the new Fast Pass episode. Like, it's been great. I've loved recording these.
Oh, me too. It really does. It gives me life. You know, it's like you know, my husband was like, you know, are you up? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing the podcast. And he's like, you know, and yeah, but I do it because I love it. I really, really do. So yeah, thank you so much. But I do want to head to sleep now. So for like 2
Yes.
hours.
Please rest, Mindy.
Get that
Please
rest.
rest.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good night. Thanks so, or good morning. Thanks so much.
Goodbye.
Good morning, Mindy.
Bye.